everybody, and welcome to Week 3 of the Aegis Champions League Summer Split, with our stream match today being a best-of-3 between Water Buffaloes Unleashed and Reject Modernity, as they fight to see who will become a top team in this league and increase their standings in the ACL. I am Mock here, filling in for Gordo, who unfortunately could not make it this week, and I will be doing play-by-play. But joining me back from last week is a familiar face that you all know and all love, TDS, and we're here to bring you what is hopefully going to be a banger series between two teams.
Exactly. Excited to be back. Had a little inconvenience last week, but nothing major. I'm able to be back, and now Gord is the one that we're missing, but he'll be back as well. Thank you, Mac, for being able to cover for him. Obviously, it's great to have someone to be able to cover up for Gordo whenever he goes away, and I'm sure tonight will be great matches, so we'll get a great opportunity to see you shine really great with these two teams. And talking about these two teams, you brought it up perfectly. Two top-tier teams that are battling to try and keep improving their standings. Obviously, one had just one matchup based on the standings that I'm seeing. The other had two, so one a little bit better compared to the other, but obviously still fighting for that top spot. And I'm really interested, particularly looking forward to Reject Modernity. One of the teams that maybe we didn't have a lot of expectations coming into the season, not a lot known from this particular roster, but already beating quite a heavy hitting team in the first week on Mirage Alliance. Not an easy task, and they turned out really greatly on that victory and now standing atop of everyone in the group.
Yeah, for sure. And talking on the subject of Reject Modernity, just looking at their last week's game against Exodia Gaming, a player that I think the Water Buffaloes Unleashed need to look out for, and a pick specifically, is going to be that Nico. Obviously, Champion is still incredibly strong. It can be flexed into the jungle. We've seen that, I believe, a couple of times in the LPL, and so it's not an impossibility to play, but obviously the worry is going to be that mid lane Nico with just incredibly high stats, incredibly high damage, and an ultimate that makes you just want to die when it hits more than like two people. So I definitely am going to be expecting Water Buffaloes Unleashed to be looking at Spooky to maybe ban away that Nico. But I think another thing to talk about, especially as it pertains to this week, is that Rel is officially enabled here for ACL. Did get a little bit of nerfs in the last patch, but I believe is still a decent option if your team lacks a little bit of engage.
Exactly. I feel like right now the spot that Rel seemed to be is potentially way better than she was way before, so I'm expecting to see some teams picking it up here and there. Also, with the potential change in meta, maybe we see a bit more deviation from certain champions, so I'm kind of interested seeing how it's going to look going forward. And I think Rel will have a place in the meta. Nautilus already is a mainstay, so I don't see why Rel couldn't just pop up in some places. I'm also even looking forward to see if teams maybe want to try it out in the jungle. There were supposed to be potential buffs in that regard, at least in certain scenarios, so maybe we see that coming through. But I think that trying to look out for Rel in certain situations, and then Nico as well in the pick and ban, is going to be the most crucial part of the meta. The rest of the pieces in the current meta, I think, that are pretty straightforward, unless there's some shakeups within the teams where they want to try something new out of nowhere. I don't expect to see anything out of the ordinary.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you on that. And as we do hop into the draft between RMD, Reject Modernity, and Water Buffaloes Unleashed, I am looking forward to seeing what both those bot laners have kind of in mind as this game goes on. Obviously, Melio, when we're on the topic of supports like Rel, Melio still incredibly strong. And I think Water Buffaloes Unleashed support, Yoon Jae-hyuk, I might have butchered that. I apologize in advance. Has shown, even though it only has been 2 games, that they're able to play different varieties of champions, which really is something you would expect from supports at this high of level. Obviously that Nautilus, and then switching over to an enchanter, that Lulu. So I'm curious to see if maybe we can see more out of them in terms of champions, and I definitely think Melio might shine. I also think when it comes to supports, Bandy hasn't been able to show a lot of flexibility in terms of playstyle. It's mostly just been enchanters, so maybe we'll see something engage heavy, because Kirk Lazarus, you can see these champions loves to go with these more aggressive champions. The Zeri, the Lucian, these are champions that function really well with support DPS enchanters such as Nami and Melio, but can work with engaged support. So I think bot lane is going to be a crucial mainstay here as we get into draft.
It's going to be an interesting tic-tac-toe between the bot lanes because obviously since you want to try and prioritize having a good bot lane, we've seen the impact that Melio will have, like you were pointing out, or trying to opt into something a bit aggressive with the Lucian as well as potentially good with certain champions. I think that Lucian Nami, even though it's still powerful enough, it's not the only bot lane that Lucian can opt into. I think Lucian Milio is one of the strongest. We've seen it already. Lucian Sona as well has a lot of potential value that you can bring forth. So I feel like there's exploration that you can go with the Lucian that maybe can bring forth a bit more value for the teams, and particularly if you really like to play the enchanters, you can try and play around that really well. That being said, I think that right now we're in a spot where the engagers can begin shining through a bit more. I don't remember which game exactly, but I think I remember seeing Alistar popping up in some regions as well. So Alistar could be a champion we begin seeing a bit more. Obviously, we already brought it forward. The Nautilus is a mainstay. And I think Leona as well has a place in the meta as of now with her durability and the fact that there's teams that are sometimes lacking a huge amount of engage. Leona fits that build really well. So between hard engage and really effective supporting enchanters, there's a really good place for both to coexist in the meta, and I think that there's teams that are going to find a happy medium between both of them. But as of now, since we haven't started draft yet, we don't know yet the priorities, right? Like typically bans are the ones that tell us the story of what they would like to try and prioritize. So as of now, it's kind of hard to tell, and as of now we don't know what the delay may be, so hopefully soon enough we'll be able to show me to the draft.
Yeah, and I also think that Reject Modernity might have to get a little bit creative when it does come to bans, because we were talking about that when the stream started. Water Buffaloes Unleashed, they've only played 2 games. Reject Modernity, they don't have a lot of information on WBU, and so I'm curious to see what they're thinking. Maybe they went into the solo queue profiles and said, you know, maybe this person is practicing a lot of this or that. But I think one thing they need to watch out for is going to be Duoing Pro, because he had an absolute monster series against Chaotic Surge, 10-1-12 on that Kindred, and then right after that, another really good game with a 5-1-5 Graves. So I'm definitely seeing a aggressive, carry-oriented jungle here when it comes to how WBU enjoy playing. So maybe we'll see a Kindred ban. We might see a Graves ban. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we see Kha'Zix played by WBU if these are the options they choose to go with for bans. Reject Modernity, I mean, choose to go with 4 bans and sort of locking in that assassin, because Kha'Zix has been pretty good in the meta as of lately. Yeah. Obviously, junglers, they still have those, you know, staple picks like the Maokai, like the Vi that you can go, or as, you know, Dinner really enjoys going, things like the Rek'Sai, the Lee Sin. But obviously, there are more carry junglers available in the meta now, which is something I just love about the current meta. So we are going into bans, and right out of the gate, we see that Kindred ban followed by that Melio ban for both teams, respecting the bot lane and the jungle, with a Thresh banning coming as well.
The Thresh is the one that I'm more interested in, not because it's necessarily bad, but it's not a typical ban that we see nowadays. There's champions that tend to be focused a bit more, so the Thresh kind of comes out of nowhere, but if you're scared of the Thresh, it's completely understandable if you want to take it away. The Graves could be the second option coming through here, and I wanted to point out quickly with the buy. It's not impossible to continue seeing buy in the current meta, but one big thing that I'm kind of aware of with the buy is what will happen when Seri, or if Seri, is pushed out of the meta, because she's one of the main reasons that also keeps buy in the meta, thanks to her point and click ultimate. So if Seri kind of vanishes away, what will happen to Bai? That's the main thing that I'm trying to keep my eyes on. But Bai, like you were pointing out, still a viable enough jungler that I expect to see if junglers want to play her. But Graves is still available. You can go for the carry jungler. Kha'Zix that you point out is still available. The Ahri is the other one that gets banned away, so we're going to see an open pool for the junglers.
Yeah, for sure. And it looks like bans have been completed with Ahri and Rengar rounding out for both teams here. And a K'Sante lock in here for Reject Modernity here. I'm assuming this is going the way of Varus, who has not yet had the opportunity to play that K'Sante on stage, but you also have to keep in mind that can be a mid lane flex. Yeah. K'Sante in the higher levels has been known to be able to go mid, so wouldn't be surprised if that goes the way of Spooky, but we'll just have to wait and see sort of how WBU react. And it looks like a Varus pick is going to go the way of WBU. Now Varus, I feel he is a champion because he's so immobile. You need a lot of peel for something like him, and so I wouldn't be surprised if we have something that can really kite away from the engagers of RMD, as it looks like a Gwen is going to be responding to the K'Sante pick. So getting that AP threat out of the way, or getting that AP pick out of the way for WBU, maybe for them not to worry about later on in the draft, as Gwen is probably one of the most banned second ban phase champions in the whole game. No one likes seeing a Gwen in that solo lane. It's almost always banned on R4 or 5.
Interestingly enough, though, like you brought it up, K'Sante can still be flexed. So it's not necessarily going to be a matchup between the Gwen and the K'Sante just yet. And I'm kind of interested in seeing if RMD is going to play around that. They pick the Saya here. The Varus, like you're putting out, in mobile lane to carry, but can have a lot of control of the bot lane. But the Saya will be a much better scaler and will have that ultimate to try and self-peel for herself without having to worry about the rest of the team. That's why Rakan here, obviously the synergy between the two going to be massive, but also allows for the Rakan to be able to leave the Saya by herself without having to worry much, and he's going to be able to dive in, get on top of the barriers, and try and kill him with the rest of the team as easily as possible. So really interesting draft already RMD has gone for themselves. Really big self-peeling tools on the Saya, and then a lot of engaged potential on the other two champions. And we were talking about this champion. The potential is right there, and they're going to go for the Nautilus. Can still be flexed because we don't know where the mid lane or the jungle is going to go or are going to be for WBU. But the Nautilus is going to have that point and click ultimate to try and at least be able to lock down a champion that you want to have priority on.
Yeah, for sure. We were talking about peel, and Nautilus provides a whole lot of that for Varus. Obviously, you have the dredge line, you have the passive root, and you even have your depth charge. So those tools really make it difficult to get to Varus, especially if they play it well. But as we're going into the second phase of bans here, both teams have opted for bot lane picks to be picked up, and then WBU have opted to give themselves a top lane Gwen. We don't yet know where that K'Sante is going to go, but it looks like Lee Sin is going to be taken away from RMD as WBU respecting Dinner here, making sure he can't get a comfort pick, as he did have a really good couple of games on that Lee Sin. Just looking at the stats now, 12-3 and 11-5 on the Lee. Not something you want to ignore, and it looks like we are going to get more jungle bans as Wukong and Graves are here as well.
And since in the first rotation we didn't have any jungle picks, typically on the second one we do get the jungle bans to come through. I'm not against this decision here because you want to try and pigeonhole the pool as much as possible and try and secure the best one left. Since Lee Sin, Graves, and the Wukong are out, I can see a Viego pick coming through, maybe a Sejuani as well to have a bit more engage. Not necessarily on WBU because maybe they want to have the carry like we were talking about. And I think with Nautilus being already picked, you can go for the Kha'Zix and put the Nautilus on the mid lane and try and play around that 2v2 synergy that those two champions can try and allow to have thanks to the lockdown. But yeah, there's the Viego instead.
Yup, the Viego really good here. Obviously, Viego is good, with those 2v2 scenarios, but he's also really good against teams that have a lot of mobility. And you have things like the K'Sante, like the Rakan already picked up here. Obviously, being able to get those Heartbreaker resets along with the, the dashes that your champions that you're stealing already provide, just allow you to zoom around team fights and be such a menace in any team fight, really. It doesn't matter if it's early, mid, or late game. So it looks like RMD are going to insta-lock that Trundle and give it over to Dinner. And this is a champion he has played in the past against Team Ambition Challengers. He did go 10-1 and 12 on it, so really impressive showing on the Trundle. Very curious to see how he's going to do in this game, but a key note for this Trundle is so far we don't really have any champions where that subjugate is really going to do a lot of damage. The front line from WBU isn't really tanky, as I would put it, as we see a Cassiopeia locked in on R5 here for RMD.
So I'll quickly point on the Trundle and I'll wait to see what is going to counter the Cassiopeia. It's Orianna. So Orianna did get buffed, so it's not like it's bad to go for this champion if you do end up picking it. The Trundle, and I think the main point that you're bringing up, the subjugate, is quite important to point out because there's no true frontline to actually take his stats away, so it's kind of difficult to play around with that. But I will say the pillar, and especially now that you did go for the flank, is going to be quite nice. Because even if you have mobility, if you are close to the proximity of the pillar, you're going to get slowed anyway. And having that slow on any champion can be massive, especially when you have hard engage or engage potential from the Rakan and the Saya and the K'Sante as well. Now, onto the Cassiopeia. I love the Cassiopeia here. Obviously, the LeBlanc is going to put pressure, and it's the biggest range difference you're going to play against. Maybe if the Varus goes lethality as well, it's also going to matter. But Gwen, Nautilus, and Diego all work as close range champions. Cassiopeia is great against them because not only do you deny the movement with the Miasma to try and deny them from escaping, but Petrifying Gaze gets extra value because they are coming into you, so you are able to get the ultimate much easier onto these targets. And she is a great champion to destroy and kill anyone who's coming in front of you if you're able to get your poison out. That being said, it's easy to lock her down, and Nautilus now has a really good target to try and put the ultimate on.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think that Nautilus, I am really curious to see how both supports are sort of going to roam around the map here, because there is a lot of roam potential, especially from a champion like Rakan, who really does well with just going to places you don't expect him to. Obviously, when he hits that level 6, the quickness can be an amazing tool for just locking down anyone you want to. That charm really lasts a lot longer than you think it does, so I am curious to see how he is going to roam around this map, especially with, you know, Cassiopeia, who you were pointing out is ridiculously lane dominant, has a lot of DPS at most stages of the game, and so it is going to be something we'll have to look out for here in this game 1, as I am also really interested to see how this Gwen is going to play, because we have the Cassiopeia locked in here, which means that is going to be a Cassante top. Obviously, it was threatened to be mid, but now it's top. So I am not quite sure on how the Cassante Gwen matchup goes. I assume this Cassante is going to build Jock shows. I think just late game, Cassante has to be really careful, because Gwen with that ultimate is just able to shred anybody, and they have to be careful where they fight. Fighting in the jungle for RMD is not the best choice, because with Gwen ultimate and Varus ultimate, you're going to get locked down and have so much damage put onto you. So it really does matter where Reject Modernity fight in this game. So I'm curious to see how Dragon fights and Baron fights go for this game,
which are going to be the better parts for RMD, really. When you look at W, I think that their comp will excel quite heavily on the split pushing potential. Team fighting needs to be played much more specifically to be able to get the most out of your champions compared to RMD, which I think it's a pretty straightforward front to back kind of comp. So I think that in that regard, you're going to have the advantage. But if WU can play the side lanes with the Gwen and the LeBlanc effectively enough, I think they can find a ton of value. I'm not sure if you've seen, or if anyone has seen, the LeBlanc build that has been popping up from one of the mains. Yeah, it's not only the damage, it's the damage to structures. Like, LeBlanc is actually a great split pusher just because of this sort of build that is popping up. So now the impact that you can have on the rest of the map can be quite massive. It's just if you're able to play around it, because one thing that in the meta currently dominates everything is objectives. So if you're still not sure that you're willing to give up an objective, or not sure if you want to fight it effectively, then the best you can do is go for the split push. And I think they have the tools to do it. It's just committing to it.
Yeah, for sure. Commitment is the name of the game in this series. I definitely agree with you on that, TDS. We are going to hop into a short break briefly as we wait for the teams to load in and get those first couple of minutes out there before we can spectate them. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more ACL. Don't see you soon. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the ACL Week 3 between RMD and WBU. As we load into this game, we have two teams, again, looking to increase their standings in the early portions of the summer split, with an immediate pause coming in for this game one. So I guess that gives us... Oh, nope, we're back. I was going to say it gives us plenty of time to talk about both teams and the comps that they provide, but I guess we're just going to go right back into the game, as it looks like both teams opting for a bit of a 5-point stance here, just protecting against any invades that the opposing team might have, and it looks like neither team is looking for any early vision.
Exactly. Not much is going to be done here at this point of the game. I'm sad because I do love my level ones. I like when teams do try to opt into some of them, but obviously I understand why not going overly aggressive in some situations as well. That being said, interesting the way that it's starting for everyone. Obviously the LeBlanc with the newer build does up for the call, does have the energized attack to try and bring forward that one attack and that one rotation much stronger. So nothing that surprising, but it's still not the typical thing that we see with the blanks. And then also just pointing out towards the top lane, no flashes on either top laner. So important to notice that whenever there's plays happening with them involved, they won't have the luxury of the flash.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, speaking of, summoner spells, look in the bot lane. You can see Sehori and Teeny Dong both go for those sort of aggressive style sums with that Ghost Flash and that Flash Ignite. So they're looking to get scrappy here in this early game, as we can already see a little bit of trading coming in here from the bot lane. Teeny Dong walking up, trying to maybe get that passive auto onto Bandy, but will not be able to find it, as, yeah, it looks like bot lane is really going to be, the center of attention here in this game, as both bot laners, if they get ahead, if they manage to, get those Xayahs or those Varuses ahead, it can be very beneficial and instrumental for their first game victory.
Exactly. Going to be quite important for them to try and push forward and make them be as comfortable as possible. We'll say, though, the Varus, with the runes that he did bring for the game, not looking like he's going to opt towards that lethality build, that poke-oriented build, which means that he is going to be not as high range as the Xayah nor the Cassiopeia, so he may be in quite a bit of trouble if he steps too far forward in some of those plays. Pretty nice pullback, nothing much though.
Yeah, Boil the Oil managing to get Varus down to a pretty decent amount of health here, to the point where he's forced to pop a pot. Has that cookie available, but yeah, just putting on the pressure here in the bot lane, and most importantly, doing pro. He did manage, he actually did do a 3-camp into a recall. He has a long sword advantage here over Dinner, so I'm anticipating a potential 3v3 here, maybe in about 30 seconds, as we do see that crab spawning. Teeny Dong going for a little bit of a trade here, as Sehori gets that E down onto Bandy. Bandy just taking a lot of punishment, as we can see here. Dinner, he has arrived here. The line goes to nowhere, and Teeny Dong has nowhere to run, as it looks like Kirk Lazarus is going to pick up the first blood here in game one.
And maybe it was panic, maybe it was trying to run away, but Teeny throws the hook out to nowhere. He went towards the air, and he cannot escape through that. Obviously, the engage was already happening. He didn't even have the opportunity to flash. I think he was dead anyway, so it's not worth to go for the flash in that situation. But maybe the hook could have bided a bit more time, because like you were pointing out, Duampro was on the bot side. He was finishing the Scuttle Crab, but because of how the play turned out, they couldn't make it work, and that just turns into such a good situation for the Xayah to start the game off with the first blood, and then Teeny dying without maybe needing to. That being said, though, Duampro did take advantage of it, double Scuttle Crab, and now even looking for the Trundle inside of the jungle.
Yeah, he's looking for Dinner here. You can see he's in his jungle. The pings are coming out. Boil the Oil, he is moving. He knows he wants to go there, as he manages. I don't know if he got that, but I don't think he did. But doing pro, he's going on to Dinner. But yeah, Dinner, he managed to secure that Gromp, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, just going to walk away. Yeah, just going to walk away. Nothing too much happens, as yeah, doing pro, he's still here on the map looking for any kind of pressure he can get. And Dinner, obviously being able to buy that Sheen, that is a really good buy, first buy for champions like Trundle, champions who love to spam their abilities and get those Sheen procs off constantly, as Dredgeline manages to land onto Kirk Lazarus, and a little bit of trading coming here. Blade Caller does come back, but it doesn't really hit anyone as Bandy takes a little bit of damage from Sehori's arrow here. And yeah, bot lane just continuing to be scrappy. Teeny Dong, he didn't burn any summoners, so they can continue to try and look for these, you know, more aggressive angles. And more importantly, Kirk hasn't had the opportunity to back. He still has that Doran's blade, but we can see Dinner, he's looking for more here. The pillar manages to get up, the grand entrance doesn't land, but Bandy taken incredibly low. Teeny Dog taken incredibly low as well. Bandy manages to live that actually after taking a turret shot and ignite to the face and so much damage. He manages to get out, but on the other side, the all out has come out from Beerus. He's looking for Boil the Oil. Boil the Oil, he's helpless. He doesn't have an ult yet up, but no, it doesn't matter. Boil the Oil with some fancy footwork manages to get the solo kill, but now it's Spooky's turn. Has the flash available, drops down to the W, and it doesn't matter. Spooky manages to get him with the fangs, and that is going to be a return kill on the top side.
Yeah, Beerus had the right idea. The play was really good. It was level 6 advantage. She pulled the Gwen away from the minion wave so she cannot get the level 6. You can outplay her in that situation, but misses the second proc of the Q. That is the difference between getting the kill and not getting anything. Look at that damage though from Spooky. But 1-for-1 at the end, Cassiopeia does get a kill in the top lane. So all in all, I wouldn't call it a bad trade because Cassiopeia getting fed is really good as well. I wouldn't call it a bad trade if Cassiopeia is the one getting the kill. And then on the bot side, nobody died, so realistically, it's not a bad situation either for RMD. Now we need to see WBU find a bit more angle strangle for plays, something maybe happening with their Viego, because as of now, we haven't seen much interaction from the jungler.
Yeah, for sure. Doing Pro has not really managed to get much done here, although they did just get actually no, they did not get that dragon because I don't believe it shows on the top. It would show on the top and it's not, so I guess they didn't get that dragon as Dinner does manage to steal the red away from Doing Pro. And yeah, the ping's coming out, Doing Pro saying, where the heck is my red buff, as Dinner is in the jungle. He didn't get spotted out, but it looks like we will see a potential mid gank. The W from LeBlanc was just used, but he does have that level 6 available, so we can see on the map he might not be killed as the Chains of Corruption, they do come out. Dinner knows he can't get the kill. There is still that flash available for that LeBlanc, and yeah, they're just trying to look for any sort of play they can as they are going to start up on this Cloud Drake.
But like you were pointing out, it is kind of a late dragon in terms of when it starts and when you're taking it. Obviously going to still be fine for a composition like RMD that is fine scaling and it's going to find value scaling. Just that it's taking a bit longer than other dragons. It's also going to mean that we're not going to have a boring soul. It's not going to be Cloud Soul. We're actually going to get a good soul, hopefully, if it's not Chemtech. So it's going to be fun seeing the team fights played around the dragons. The Herald is getting started by Doing Pro on the top side, and I would love to see the Viego lay down for the top lane. Keep adding gold to this Gwen, already fully ahead thanks to the solo kill as well as the CS discrepancy in the top lane. So giving her even more gold will just make it impossible for K'Sante to even breathe around her.
Yeah, Boil the Oil, he is up 25 CS here, nearly 9 minutes into this game. This Gwen looking really scary for RMD here. They have to find a way to shut it down at some point, or else late game Gwen, we all know the tale, we all know the story. It's a tale as old as time. Will just run over the team of RMD, and we can see Doing Pro has placed that ward down, is potentially anticipating Dinner to come there as the chains actually land. Spooky's taken really low, but yeah, Irvine Beast does not yet quite have the damage to be able to kill. And I do want to point out, we have seen a Noon Quiver here from Doing Pro, so it looks like he is going to be potentially going a Kraken. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that, but a lot of builds, even one just recently in the LCS that was played today, we did see the Trinity Force. Obviously that item is very buffed, but
yeah, could be.
Yeah, for sure. But we can see that Irvine Beast, he's being focused down by the support and jungle of RMD, but can just, you know, distortion out as Dinner forced to flash away from the chains from Varus. And so that's an important sum burned for a champion like Trundle, who does not have any mobility other than that flash. So Dinner going to have to kind of pick and choose where he goes, what ganks he takes in these next minutes. As he doesn't have a flash, he doesn't have a way to get out, so he has to be careful.
Exactly, not the best way to lose your flash, certainly, dinner, but at least he stays alive. I'm kind of surprised, not gonna lie, that he opted into the flash, not Ghost. I think that Ghost, even though it's obviously not the runaway strategy that you can pull off, I think Ghost is fun to have on the Trundle and would give you an advantage. But now without this flash, does he opt into certain plays as aggressively as he was doing, or will he try and keep a bit of a back foot in some other situation? Because obviously, like you're pointing out, with no flash, you're a much easier target to kill. And since there's no tank to actually steal stats from, you're not tankier either. Like you can. It's not that hard to kill you as well.
Yep, I 100% agree with that. As we can see, I want to point out that WBU, not just in top lane, but in jungle as well. Look at the CS difference between the two junglers. Now, granted, Dinner, he does have that 1 KP, so it's giving him a little bit of gold back, but the CS difference from the top side of WBU is really starting to show here as they have managed a gold lead for themselves, even though they're down a dragon and a kill. So, yeah, WBU definitely anticipating or scaling for this late game. And you were mentioning it earlier, RMD have a very good late game comp as well. So I'm very curious to see how these, third dragon fights are going to play out as I really start to, I'm really thinking that's when it's going to start to get good.
We'll say though, I think for Trundle it's a bit less tragic to have this sort of CS discrepancy than for the K'Sante, because he's a Trundle. At the end of the day, he's pretty much a pillar bot as well as a subjugate bot. So he is going to be useful with in those situations, but he's not going to add a lot of damage. He's not going to add a lot of tankiness either, unless he opts into that. So overall, I think that it's just straight up going to be team value, and the fact that he's able to deliver for his Saya, for his Cassiopeia, it's probably going to be much, much better. The one that is suffering really hard though is Beerus. Already down a mythic and down a lot of gold in his lane.
Yeah, for sure. Beerus has basically just been pushed up to his tower the entire time, as on the other side of the map, we can see WBU, they have opted to drop the Herald here around 12.5 minutes into the game. So a little bit of plate gold going over to Sehori, who's just been kind of chilling. The bot lane this game, we anticipated kind of a bloody bot lane, but ever since, that first initial kill in the game, it's been relatively chill and mellow in the bot lane. And that's kind of what Sehori as Varus likes, getting that arrow to max level, getting those items underway in the game is very important. And so that late game Varus really going to start to take hold here as he does get those plate golds.
And it's an interesting approach to take. Obviously, I was talking about one with the Gwen getting the huge amount of gold thanks to the Herald and trying to even put her even further ahead than the K'Sante. But there's another strategy that you can opt into. If the Gwen is already ahead, you can now look into feeding your other lanes and trying to make them be as strong as possible as well. And they do that with the Varus now. He should be able to back as soon as he clears his wave and get into a position that he can try and get his first item for a potential dragon fight. Although numbers advantage seem to be in favor as of now for WBU, because Cassiopeia did back. She has to teleport in to try and come help the team.
Yeah, and speaking of teleports, neither top laner has them up right now. They do have the Unleashed teleports available. Remember, the Unleashed teleports were changed to be at 10 minutes now instead of 14, but we can see Spooky, he has gotten that teleport down in that dry bush, but we can see Boyle, he is here, and it looks like RMD, they're looking to fight as the line goes, but the pillar actually is super clutch, and it looks like an absolute bloodbath. RMD are trying to fight back, but WBU, they're on the offensive. Boil the Oil is just so unbelievably strong as Sehori. He's got a kill. He's looking for another one, but he does not have the flash available. Kirk Lazarus, he's running for his life, but Sehori will say hello there, and Barris, he has missed the whole party, ghosted for nothing, and it just looks like a one trade here for WBU. Dragon and a lot of kills onto the ADC.
And the only reason, honestly, why WBU wins this is because it's a 5v4. That should have been a perfect victory for RMD. They played that out super well. The pillar was perfect to deny the entrance from Teeny into the fight, and they are able to get so much volley on it. The main issue, though, you're playing a 5v4, and not only a 5v4 against a Gwen that has been fed. but the pillar here is perfect to deny the initial engage. The counter engage is great as well, but as you can see, because it's a 5 before Dinner dies, then the Gwen gets there, Bandy is dead immediately as well, and then Saya and Spooky have to go away, run away from the fight, where they would like to be able to kite it into a much easier position for the Cassiopeia to be able to get as much damage as possible. But it's the difference of having the numbers advantage. K'Sante cannot do anything in this fight, whereas the rest of the team from WBU did have value.
Yeah, for sure. A very good fight there from WBU. RMD, they played it very well too, but as you mentioned, numbers really are the name of the game in phases like this, and so naturally WBU, they come out ahead. A turret officially has been destroyed, with Boil the Oil managing to take it, and this Gwen is just so unbelievably strong at this point. 146 CS does have the 2 deaths on there, but it won't matter as this Gwen just continues to scale. Dinner is forced to run away there as Doing Pro goes through the Tribush. That turret is taken so low, but they might not be able to get it as Dinner, he's looking for the offensive. The quickness has been popped. The chains of corruption have also been popped. Teeny Dong has nowhere to go, and Kirk Lazarus will finish him off, but a flash coming in from Dinner, a flash coming in from Doing Pro, 1 HP, and he manages to live as Sayori lays down cover fire and tries to deal damage to Dinner, but it will not matter. A kill going the way of RMD. Herald has been popped, and they're looking for a big play here. They might be looking for 2.
Yeah, potentially trying to push for 2 turrets. I think even if Duong stays here, I wouldn't recommend the play to try and protect it.
Duong, no.
He's just going to get 1. Not even that.
Oh, yeah, wait. Okay, but it looks like it has been. But the W from Rakan will land. Sayori has nowhere to run, no sums to turn to, and a shutdown going over to Bandy of all people. And it looks like, yeah, they got 2 kills. They overstayed heavily. WBU getting caught out when it mattered. And that's 2 turrets going the way of RMD, and they are officially within striking distance of keeping this gold lead, you know, within even bounds.
We'll say, though, that has to be one of the saddest ways to lose a bounty, the support getting it away from you.
Yeah.
But overall, getting the 2 turrets, getting the value from the kills, much better for RMD. Yes, they are still not close enough to WBU. It's just a 1k gold deficit, but they are doing a really good job at keeping themselves in the game and finding avenues to keep putting pressure onto the side of WBU. I also really like the fact that even though K'Sante hasn't found much angles to try and pop up into the game, he hasn't really given up enough advantages for the Gwen. He lost a turret, but that was kind of a given. He lost a kill, but that was way before in the game. And so far, he has been able to at least keep farm close enough. He hasn't even given enough pressure to the Gwen to take the tier 2 turret in the bot side when they were pushing for it. So I think overall, at least Beerus not making it harder for the team.
Yeah, for sure. At least you're not, you know, sort of a detriment. That is the worst thing you can be. And I would definitely say, Barris, on this K'Sante, you obviously, you always have those uses, right? All out, being able to take a potential carry out of the fight, basically acts like a sort of mini Mordekaiser are, in the sense that you can just kind of force them to go away, as Doing Pro just going to hit. He's going to hit Spooky once and then just run away as Bandy gets his W canceled. And so it looks like both teams, WBU, you can see they're in this bot in this bot river. They're looking for vision, but it looks like RMD, they're looking for a potential fight here, as Barris is leading the charge with Dinner close behind. Dinner does officially have his mythic here. Yeah, and LeBlanc is, yeah, like you pointed out, LeBlanc is topside. That TP is a few seconds away from going live again, but it doesn't look like it's going to matter, as a TP coming in from Spooky to make sure that this LeBlanc cannot trade those turrets. And so RMD, very good macro on their side here for taking this second Drake.
And I really like that they played the dragon as fast as possible as well. They pushed the wave, they moved into the river, and they went immediately for the dragon. They have 3 really great champions to take care of dragon, particularly the Cassiopeia. She melts dragons and objectives really quickly. So taking advantage of their champions, they went in, killed the dragon, and didn't give an opportunity for WBU to really find an angle to contest it. That being said, this is the 3rd dragon of the game. Both teams already had a dragon apiece. So it's not like you needed to contest that desperately on WBU's side. They gave it up and tried and put pressure on the other side of the map. Didn't work out that greatly, but I don't think it's the end of the world to give up this dragon, just because it's not going to be as impactful as if it was a soul point or a soul.
Yup, I definitely agree with you. Second Drake is not worth getting into a fight you might not be able to win over, and so it looks like both teams are just going to try and lay down a little bit of vision here in these rivers. We can see both junglers are on the top sides and might encounter each other, but you can see RMD, they do have that ward in the pixel brush that is going to give them a lot of information if WBU maybe try to look for something topside, maybe try to get a push there, or maybe try to get any sort of vision on that Baron. They will be prepared because of the wards that they have in the river, but for now, it looks like WBU are content with just having Gwen split and, you know, looking out for it in the meantime. But speaking of Gwen, it looks like Boil the Oil had a little bit of a disconnect into a pause, but we saw the reconnect here on your screen. So I wouldn't imagine this pause is going to last very long.
Hopefully it's not long. It's not a long pause. Obviously, these sort of moments where the game is in a not stalemate, but a fight can break out at any moment. It's not the best to have this sort of pauses because it can take away a bit from the action and excitement from it. That being said, obviously, I hope that Gwen can come back into the game and it's not just going to be much difficult for WBU to play it out.
Yeah, for sure. And I am really looking forward to this next dragon fight because I really think that's when stuff is gonna start to, you know, kind of get more fast-paced. Obviously, RMD, they have 2 Drakes in their pocket. You do not want them to get a soul point. Giving, you know, too many mountain Drakes to things like a Rakan, a Cassante, and a Trundle, just these beefy, you know, frontline champions who like to fight is never good. And I would say Mountain Soul really is one of the best souls you can give to a comp that RMD have drafted themselves. So they have to be careful with how they play, just not to throw that lead beforehand. But they've been playing really you know, kind of calm and calculated this game, so I wouldn't imagine they're going to get caught, as Irvine Beast sought after a little bit here by RMD, just going to spot each other out a little bit and walk away.
Yeah, not for the position of the Cassiopeia, could have been a much interesting attempt.
Whoa, all out coming in from Barris, and it might be just a solo kill. Boil the Oil stepping much too far, takes a turret shot, and Barris says, all right, that's my cue. Gets Boil the Oil. What a massive solo kill here for this Cassante.
And not only the fact that they get the solo kill, the fact that it's in an item disadvantage position, they're trying to persecute here to LeBlanc, but it's a LeBlanc. It's way too difficult to try and find it. But going back to that solo kill, Gwen had an item advantage. He had the notchers completed to just the Frostborn Gauntlet on the side of the Cassante, and that still wasn't enough for Beerus to die. He gets the soul kill. He's able to not only buy now a bit more time for themselves, but find even more gold for himself as well. Could have maybe looked for taking the turret, but I think he's still preemptively playing around the fact that Baron is an objective, so not going to go overly aggressive in certain situations. But what a massive pickup by Beerus.
Yup, and we can see Irvine Beast, he does have that Ludens complete, and so this is really, I feel, when this build for LeBlanc starts to take shape, is when they get the 2 items, that Static Shift plus the Mythic, and it looks like WBU, they're starting the Baron, but there is a ward there to the left of it, so they're going to get off as the pings from RMD do come in there looking to maybe fight, and so, yeah, WBU just respecting RMD a lot here and not getting, and I mean, getting off of the Baron. And so, yeah, nothing is going to happen, just a little bit of a threat, but yeah, both teams just going to continue as if nothing happened.
Exactly. Both teams will have a bit of a space to be able to do whatever they want. They have really good vision around objectives, so they know if teams are starting in or not. I really like WBU's vision as well to try and keep as much pressure as possible, and it's not getting cleared at all, so it's really easy for them to rinse and repeat as soon as they want to. Now with this clear of vision, they probably will have a bit more space on the side of RMD to not have to worry as much about the Baron.
Yeah, and I think what RMD should really be looking forward to, aside from, you know, Barons and Dragons, the obvious kind of stuff, is getting that mid turret. You have a lot of push here in this top lane, and getting that mid turret is going to open up a lot of the map that I feel RMD haven't had access to here in this game, and so has to be priority number 1 for them if they want to continue to accelerate the sort of momentum that they've built for themselves. I bet their Discord call is probably all screams right now saying, yeah, Barris, you got a solo kill. And so I think they're probably trying to maybe ride that hype train a little bit here, and I think the mid turret really is how you do that if you're RMD.
100%. Being able to push into advantages, it's almost always going to matter quite a lot for the team. With the dragon spawning in 10 seconds, though, I can see them trying to set up for it. Pushing. Ooh, wait.
Yeah, Dinner is looking for something. Boil the Oil might be a little bit caught out here as, yeah, he is forced away. Needlework has been dropped. Meanwhile, we also have a lot of engage coming in. Heartbreaker has been popped, but it doesn't matter. Dinner manages to get doing as a giant ultimate from Cassiopeia manages to hit Irvine Beast in the face. Dinner flashes, gets the shutdown, and it looks like the rest of WBU are sent scattering. They don't have a jungler. They don't have a way to get this dragon, and that's going to be soul point for RMD, and the pings are going for a Baron. TDS, this is what we're talking about, transitioning into objectives. Beautifully played by RMD.
Their decision making of into going for objectives is amazing. They see the play, they opt into it. They are going to collect Baron here because Duong Pro is dead. There's no smite, so there's barely anything that the side of WBU can do to stop them. And then looking back into the fight, I'm sure we'll get a replay as soon as they collect the Baron. I'm sure it's not going to be much. Yeah, no, it would be surprising if something happens, but it should be a pretty easy Baron like we see. But looking at the replay eventually, yeah, when we get there. It's really great how they opted into the play because they saw Boil the Oil running from their jungle to the middle of the fight. This is when Boil the Oil was already getting collapsed on. Mist was already used. She has no flash, so Pillar is perfect to force the play. And because they have the charm here, re-engage by Duong Pro gets completely turned around on its head, and then he dies immediately. But look at the petrifying gaze here. It's a blind run jumping in, but the angle is perfect. And even if you're forced to go into the blank and run on top of her, it doesn't matter. Dinner has the damage to be able to kill her, and as soon as she's dead, it's free dragon, free Baron, and the game looking perfect for the side of Redemption.
Yeah, for sure. RMD are definitely in control of this game here, even though the gold lead is still within around 1,000 gold. At some point, gold leads don't really matter. They touched a lot on that in MSI. The gold lead is close, but RMD, they have two buffs in terms of advantage. One of those buffs is a Baron, and so it looks like they're just looking to use that to the fullest as they are going full on into mid, putting all of their cards into taking these mid turrets with this demolish in tow. But yeah, they're going to get that tier 2 and just back away here as they don't have 5. Spooky does have access to that TP, but they're looking hungry. They're looking for blood as Irvine Beast manages to get the ethereal chains down onto Dinner. TP coming in from Spooky, and they're looking for a fight. Quickness goes in. The ultimate from Xayah also coming in, and ultimates just being thrown out everywhere. A shutdown for Sahori. It might not matter. Teeny Dog has been destroyed, and Sahori is almost certainly next as he manages to actually get another kill onto Barris, and that is going to be a 1 fight for RMD. They have 3 alive here, and it looks like they might be going for more in this mid lane.
And maybe I didn't give enough credit to Dinner and the Trundle because he's doing damage and also being able to survive for quite a bit. He's really far ahead as well, 4-1. Even if he's behind in TS, it doesn't matter because this Trundle is doing the deals. It's doing the deed. Yeah, that's the way to put it. And even though Xayah died, it didn't really matter either. They killed everyone else with Xayah dead. I like the way that they engage on top of the Xayah though, and it at least brings forward a good opportunity for the future. I think the shield canceled the out attack from Duong Pro, and that's why Bandy didn't cancel the back. But the fight from the side of RMD was really, really great. And you pointed it out. They knew what was happening. They wanted to commit onto the play here. They forced it with the teleport from the Cassiopeia as well. And they were the ones looking actively for this fight. Yes, Xayah may have died, and I think it's part of the fact that the angle is a little bit meh for the Xayah fighting into. But even if she dies, they have a full advantage on top of that. Barris wasn't even close to the fight until the last moments.
Yeah, and I just kind of feel bad for Barris here. You can see he's chilling, and then all of a sudden, like a good 5th or 6th of his health bar just gets deleted by one arrow. Probably wasn't expecting that much damage, but damn, it does not matter. Irvine Beast, you are caught out, my friend. What are you doing at your turret? Just play safe as he is eliminated. Barris picking up the kill, and RMD are just in complete control of this game. They have a big minion wave here in the bot lane, and they are looking to use it to its fullest. 2 turrets plus a kill for RMD. They are doing amazing here as this dragon, it's soul point, keep in mind, for RMD, and they are looking to get soul.
exactly 50 now 40 seconds for the dragon to spawn soul Mountain Soul to give you extra shields and resistances against this sort of comp that relies so heavily on their damage. It's going to be massive for RMD if they are able to get it. Surprised that we didn't see any backs just before the dragon spawning. Now with 20 seconds, really difficult to be able to pull that through. But they have complete control over the river, and they have a complete say of whatever happens here. Born.
Yeah, Boyle going to spot him out, all of them out with the sweeper, and we can see WBU, they want to fight this, but man, they are just so unbelievably far behind, but they know if they don't fight this, that's a soul going over to RMD, and they just cannot let that slide. We can see Irvine Beast, he potentially is looking for sort of a mixed flank / engage here, but the front line of WBU is going strong as we have a giant petrifying gaze going out and some going everywhere, and it looks like it's going for WBU as they are actually doing very well here in this fight. But hang on, RMD actually are the ones coming out in this fight. I got my teams completely mixed up there, I'm not gonna lie to you. That's going to be Soul here for RMD as they take yet again another fight, and really the only thing they have left here to do, TDS, is end the game.
A lot of chaos may have happened there, Mac, but it doesn't matter because RMD does get the soul. They get the teamfight victory, and with 2 members standing in front of them, they probably can try and get this inhibitor. It's all on the Blank and Duong Pro to try and stop them, but I see that being way too difficult. Well, at least they stopped the inhibitor take.
Yeah, we can see Duong Pro, he's looking for something, just kind of saying, waving hi to them in the camouflage, just like the quiet kid in middle school, just, you know, in invisibility, quietly saying hi. But yeah, Duong Pro just kind of scouting the area, throws down a Q, but gets pillared on. Dinner looking to maybe go for something, but is... Yeah, Baron is spawning here. We can see the pings coming in from WBU. They might be looking for it as they know the entire side of RMD is here in this bot lane, but wards are down. They know they're looking for it, but they don't care. This is the only possible way WBU can come back from this game, but TPs are coming out from RMD. It looks like the Baron is completely gone, but now the only thing left to do is get away, and it looks like they have, but Teeny Dog is going to be the one to make the sacrifice call, and he will fall as, yeah, 4 members of WBU, a very smart call from them to go for the Baron, but really how much time does it buy you at this point is the question.
And you have to see how well does it go, because now without 1 member, I can see RMD just trying to commit to the inhibitors and try and close out the game. They have the numbers advantage here, so they can realistically look a bit aggressive into this play. They're going to get the inhibitor. They can try and look for the play if they really want to, but it seems like it's just going to be the inhibitor and wait out the Baron buff. Really good call, like you're pointing out, and huge credit to Duong Pro for the way that it was executed, because he was the one that stops the backs from the 4 members of RMD, not allowing them to get into the play as soon as possible, and buys enough time for the Baron to spawn and them to get on top of the play.
Yeah, and it looks like RMD, while they're waiting out, they're just going to be taking away the jungle of WBU here. The red buff, those changes have come through now. Buff sharing is a thing. It is no longer just exclusive to Ivern, and so the red buff is going to go toward Dinner and Kirk Lazarus here. As we can see, Irvine Beast, he is in that bot lane just trying to create any kind of pressure with these Baron empowered minions that he can, and yeah, just sort of staying there, letting the cannon minion be empowered just a little bit longer before it is inevitably snatched up by Barris, who comes to meet down there.
But one big thing with this Baron and the fact that the game wasn't ended by RMD is that now we may end up seeing an Elder fight. And Elder is the only objective that it doesn't matter how well, how bad, how the game has gone at all. If you get it, that is winning. It's almost essentially winning the game. So really important to see. Oh,
My lord, he does a lot of damage as Irvine Beast did the classic alley-oop and went back there, but the pings are coming out. A lot of blue members are here on this top side, so they're going to be looking for Irvine Beast. You know, down now ensues the Benny Hill music of just trying to hit and trying to kill Irvine Beast here, but Irvine Beast, he does see a pillar is dropped. Double distortion will also be dropped, and he's just buying so much
much
I
time.
respect
Irvine
this.
Beast running for his life. Smite coming down for Dinner. He takes a turn shot, but no, he goes back and a shutdown going over to Dinner. A nice little chase. What a fun thing to watch.
Yeah, exactly. It was, like you're pointing out, a funny rundown music behind the LeBlanc running away. But it's okay. It's a kill nonetheless that you get, and it's a bit of time that you were able to buy. Oh, Joan Pro.
Yeah, Joan Pro might be in trouble here. Forced to, throw out the Heartbreaker. Might not have it for this next fight, but actually he will have it for this next fight. But he is
1 minute.
he is forced to run away here with it and forced away from, that side of the jungle. But we can see not a lot of vision is down here for the side of WBU in this bot lane, as the Dragon is around 90 seconds from spawning. And this is, the time that wards, the timer that wards have. Wards keep themselves alive for 90 seconds. So if they're going to start warding, they have to do it now. As, yeah, I mean, look at the wards here in this bot lane. In this bot lane river, it's really just going the way of RMD with those two wards in the top side.
And a pause.
And another pause.
Of course, in the moment where the game is getting towards the climax, we get the pause. Well, at least it was quick enough. I was going to say quickly as well, by the way, the fact that the Dragon is spawning a minute 13 before the Baron means that there's not a lot of opportunities to actually bait the trade of objectives, right? I wouldn't trade Elder for Baron anyway, but that's something that teams do occasionally do. Try to bait one objective to try and trade the other, or things like that. The fact that it's just the Dragon spawning means that that's where we'll 100% be focusing on, because that's where both teams want to go.
Yup, for sure. As we can see, the game continuing to, sort of play out how we'd expect it. Both teams just sort of dancing around that mid lane, dancing around WBU's jungle, just trying to get any kind of vision, any kind of pressure, just kind of doing anything that they can before this Dragon ends up spawning. And this is really going to be, I think, where the game starts to end down. WBU, it's not completely impossible for them to win this fight. They have shown that their comp, as you said earlier, it has a lot of damage. So if they do play their cards right, if they do potentially get a person caught out when they're not supposed to, I think we could see a fight going the way of WBU. But yeah, RMD, they do have the Dragon Soul. They have a lot of advantages here. Xayah is incredibly fed. All
also,
the advantages
to point out.
Yeah.
Sorry, just because you mentioned Xayah. One quick thing. One quick thing. She's the only one that has a stopwatch. Out of the 10 champions, one stopwatch, and it's on the Xayah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That is definitely something worth noting, as it looks like the miasma has been dropped and the fight has begun. It looks like Bandy, he has gotten himself into the fight. Dinner wreaking havoc in the backline, but it's just completely over. RMD, they don't even need the Dragon. They're just going all in on WBU. A teleport coming in from Barris, but a teleport for Irvine Beast as well. Will he be able to kill him? A 1v1. Gargoyle Stoneplate has been popped. The Q3 has been popped as well. She is 1 HP. All Barris has to do is hit her, and he manages to get it with an auto attack. And all that is standing between RMD and a game 1 victory is Joan Pro. He doesn't have the Heartbreaker. He doesn't have the Flash, and all he can do is watch and RMD take game 1.
What a game from RMD. Last fight of the game, you pointed out Dragon overrated, maybe because they didn't need it. They just went fully in to kill the champions on WBU, and they played that out perfectly. Huge team fight. Look at how it ended. They see Sahori immediately engage on top of it, because the one that tanks the Chains of Corruption is a Trundle. That means that it's so easy for the Rakan to get onto the backline. And at that point, with no cleanse, with no flash away, it's so easy to collapse on them. And this is where it's just so much advantage of the composition from the side of RMD, because it's a front to back comp. If you get to the backline and don't allow their backline to reach yours, it's such an easy fight to be able to play out, and they played it out perfectly. Huge props to them.
Yeah, for sure. RMD played the game incredibly well there. Just the mid to late game was all in their favor. They won a couple of very crucial fights, and from there it was just over. They had a little bit of a hiccup, obviously, with that Baron being snuck. But they played it out, like you said. All they had to really do was turtle, and they did that incredibly well. And, a win is the result. That's what they get for playing it well.
Exactly, and that's the most important part. Hiccups can happen here and there. We're still in the early parts of the season, right? So there's still things to try and correct here and there to get towards that close to the perfect style. I'm not gonna say perfect because perfect cannot be achieved, but close to the perfect style, and I think they are doing a really good job at that. With the game, how it went, they controlled almost every situation. Look, Caddy, quickly, it's a 3.7k for one team fight, or is it actually the game? That cannot be the game, right? From the Viego.
Yeah, that doesn't seem right. Is it really? 3.7k.
Viego dealt 3.7k.
That is
I cannot believe that. That is actually the damage from the Viego this game. Wow.
wow, that's very tragic from the side of Doing Pro. But yeah, I mean, look at the gold graph. It was heavily in favor of WBU in the start of the game. You can see they had like a 3.7k gold lead, but they managed to turn it around after a couple of fights and just yeah, really after that, it was just all up and up from there. You can see the gold lead around like the 20 to 30, like around the 33-minute mark started to stagnate a little bit as not a lot happened. But after that last team fight, you can see it just went up and up and up and up and up. And they eventually did win the game. So huge props to RM for having incredible patience in that game. It was a pretty rough start, I think we can both agree, but they ended up doing very well as the game progressed. And so we are going to take a short game as the series is going to continue to progress. So we will see you all soon for game 2. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Game 2 of Week 3 of the ACL. We are still covering Reject Modernity versus Water Buffaloes Unleashed. In the first game, in case you weren't here, we saw Reject Modernity actually have a comeback against Water Buffaloes Unleashed in some really good mid to late game synergy and team fights that ended up going their way. They had a very, very impressive showing, and most importantly, a lot of players got to have their moment to shine. So I'm curious to see how both teams are going to sort of adapt to Game 2, because according to our producer, the side selection is going to remain the same, with Reject Modernity on blue side and Water Buffaloes Unleashed on the red side.
Exactly. They are going to stay on the same side, which to a certain degree surprises me. You typically see teams try and approach the easiest fix, and that's changing sides. That's the easiest and the first fix that you can pull off in any game that went wrong. It's just changing the sides. That being said, maybe they prioritize the counter pick for top lane and for mid lane really highly, and that's why they want to keep themselves on the red side. We saw in the previous game, actually, how the LeBlanc was the last pick, and also Gwen coming after the K'Sante, and both of those lanes did relatively well. I think Gwen maybe a little bit better than the LeBlanc lane, but all in all, it's understandable based on that idea that they want to stay on the right side. I still think that RMD has the tools on their side to be able to play around what they want, and if the bans stay the same, they can opt for a similar composition and trying to carry through that.
Yeah, and it looks like you basically were just saying it. The bans have, remained relatively the same, at least these first two bans, and it looks like that Thresh is going to be banned away on R2 for RMD, and so I'm really interested to see how WBU try to adapt, not just in terms of draft bans, but also in terms of draft picks. So yeah, we keep seeing just relatively the same bans being put out there. The Nico banned away, the Ari banned away. So what do you think WBU need to do differently, not just in picks but in playstyle, in order to tie up this series?
I would say particularly change up their mind on what they want to, how they want to approach. In the previous game, they had a really good composition for the 1-3-1 potential and trying to get picks in certain situations. But this meta is really, and the current way that the game is played, so forced and focused around objectives. So the fact that your team fighting was so pigeonholed in certain ways makes it really difficult for them to try and go for certain situations. But so far, we've gone for the salty runback because same bands, same picks, same order for the picks as well. If here we see, I think it was a Saya and a Rakan for RMD, then I'm all in for the salty runback, honestly.
Yeah, we have officially entered the Matrix. It's the exact same thing, and it looks like it might be the Zaya locked in here for RMD, and there we have it. A Rakan, we are officially, it is real. The Matrix has arrived, and just more proof of that as Nautilus R3, just like game 1, is going to be picked up here for WBU. The game looking to be relatively the same, and same side selection as well. So maybe in R4 and R5 we might see some deviation from the game 1 draft, but honestly, if it's the exact same thing, I would not be disappointed because it was actually a really fun game 1.
Yeah, it had a lot of fights, it had a lot of situations, so I wouldn't be against that at all either. Losing was the first ban, if I'm not wrong, from the previous game as well.
You're right.
Second round. So going to be the losing, I think, if I'm not wrong, it was Graves, Wukong, and then Syndra as well. The bans that need to come through. So would be interesting if they keep those up as well. Cassiopeia, though, I think a much smarter ban because I really like how the side of RMD played the previous game with the Cassiopeia, and that means that sadly we're not getting the salty round back.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, that Cassiopeia was a huge issue in the mid to late game. Those petrifying gazes, especially toward, I believe it was the fourth dragon fight where it hit the LeBlanc, was an absolutely crucial ultimate, and that fight was basically where they started to win the game. It really was kind of the turnaround. That fight really was where RMD started to take control of the game, and so it looks like we are going to be seeing a Syndra R5. RMD kept literally the exact same bans as they did from the last game, and so it looks like WBU are going to put in the work and lock in that Wukong for themselves and put Duang Pro on the monkey.
And the Wukong pick here, I think, is a smart approach, trying to change things up. A bit more team fighting power than the Viego, not because Viego is incapable of team fighting, but this is much more straightforward. You press R, you get a lot of value into your team fight, and the Wukong as well can get and kill into the Saya really effectively. So not against the pick at all here. The Trundle going to stay the same. The Pillar is going to find the same value. We saw how well Dinner was able to execute on the Trundle the previous game. So not against the champion at all. And now we're going to see the variation from the side of R&D because their mid laner is banned. You have options here to go for. I think Sylas wouldn't be a bad option, thinking about the ultimate value that you're getting over on WBU side. But if not, a team fighting mage like an Azir wouldn't be bad, especially because of the Emperor's Divide to try and knock away the Wukong. Annie as well has team fighting value, point and click CC, and really effective in a lot of team fights.
Yeah, and I mean, Annie is ridiculously good in sort of 2v2 scenarios, and so is Trundle, right? Being able to, basically, that mid-jungle duo, if they roam together anywhere, they're most certainly going to win that fight because the 2v2 potential from Annie is just probably one of the best in the game, I'm going to be completely honest with you, but it looks like we might see an Azir pickup here from WBU, but might also see an Orianna. I think Orianna was banned in the last game, so it looks like we are going to see an Orianna here in game 2. So the mid laners at least are different here in this second game, but everything else is more or less the same. Obviously, you have that Wukong, but RMD sticking to their guns. It looks like they knew what worked, they knew how it worked, and it looks like they're looking to run it back. And maybe, who knows, they'll do it better.
Maybe that's the best way to try and change the outcome of the game. Get good, play better. That's the best and most simple way to go for it. Exactly. That being said, I do like the Orianna here because of the Wukong. You have the combo now to go in, Shockwave, Nautilus to a certain degree as well. So you do have a bit of team fighting opportunities that you can mix here and there, and that is one big difference compared to the previous game. It wasn't as much as easy to execute team fight, but more so they had avenues to team fight. It's just that it's really difficult to pull off. In here, since they have two champions with press R buttons to try and just destroy everyone, it should be much simpler for WBU. I still think RMD can execute, but at least they have the value now in a much simpler way to pull off.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that Wukong Orianna combo provides a lot more engage when it comes to, you know, those sort of mid to late game team fights. This was something that WBU struggled with a lot, and it's the reason I feel that RMD were really able to, you know, clutch the game back toward that 4th dragon fight. Was they lacked a lot of potential for an engage. Obviously, you know, having that Viego, you can't really engage with a champion like that. With having a something like a Cyclone, like you said, it's a lot more straightforward. It provides a lot more safety, having someone like an Orianna being able to shockwave back you up, give you a shield. So I think WBU have drafted themselves a better comp in spite of the fact that their first 3 picks were the same. And so I think they will have an easier time, you know, sort of executing the comp that they wanted to execute in the first game.
It's going to be much easier for them. It's going to be much straightforward to try and pull off. And if they have a similar lead to what they had in the previous game, which they did have quite a good lead for a huge amount of the time in the
4K.
game, then exactly with that they can try and just play through the advantage and try and pull forward. Because if Wukong gets that sort of lead, he can kill almost anyone. I think apart from K'Sante maybe, and maybe Trundle as well, the rest of the members are killable, and he can do a lot of damage if he's allowed to. So can be quite a good game for the Wukong this time around. And then if we see a similar situation with the Wind stomping the K'Sante up there in the top lane and not really allowing for Beerus to move around and find a lot of value, can be quite a good game for W. I'm kind of excited to see how it goes this time around.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that Cyclone also provides a lot more pick potential onto someone like the Xayah. You know, having the 2 charges of it, even if the ultimate from Xayah does, you know, come a knockin', then I think that the Cyclone second charge could potentially provide a way to still stick onto the targets of the backline of RMD. So I do really like that Wukong pick just yet again. I know I've been talking about it a lot, but I do think it is a good switch up from game 1.
Exactly. Changing things, it's the best way to try and approach a game. I like the salty runback is really fun and all that, but realistically, I think it's better to try and change certain things, especially if you're on the backs, if your back's on the wall, you want to try and change something to try and get closer to that victory, because if not, it's just going to be a 2-0 for RMD and trying to lock themselves in that first stop really effectively.
Yeah, for sure. And so I'm really curious to see how both teams sort of play around this, you know, similar style play styles, but the way it looks is slightly different. So before we go into that, though, we are going to take a small little break to let the teams load in, and we will see you guys after that break. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon.
Hello everybody and welcome back to game 2 of the ACL between RMD and WBU. We saw both teams take similar sides and similar comps, and we are looking to see if WBU can tie up the series or if RMD can make this a quick 2-0 with basically the exact same comp that they did last game.
It'll be a really good opportunity to try and...
Oh no, please not again.
Hmm?
Well, I saw Boil the Oil leave and I was like, oh no, are we going to get another instant pause from this game? But no, he reconnected.
Like that, yeah. Probably we got the buffer before, so at least at the start it's not going to happen, but maybe later on. Hopefully not much more from Boil. And already getting a bit of damage to Hori. But would be a good call if they are able to pull off with a similar comp and a bit better adaptation from WBU, try and win this game. Obviously, it's not going to be easy because I do think that RMD has not only the momentum, but also a good, stable comp to try and win the game. But it would be quite fun if they are able to at least give a good fight to RMD.
Yeah, for sure. We can already see in mid lane, they are going at each other through Spooky. Manages to get the Electrocute proc off level 1, but... yeah, it looks like both teams are going to do relatively the same thing. We can see both junglers have started topside, are looking to sort of path down into that bot lane. And obviously, we want to see that early pressure again from Dinner, right? We saw it in the last game with that gank in the bot lane that ended up getting first blood onto Teeny Dog. That kind of aggression, I think, is really what put RMD in a position to sort of come back in the first place. They weren't immediately on a win, but hang on for a second. Teeny Dog manages to get the dredge line, but a little bit of damage in return. They have hit level 2 first, WBU's bot lane, and it looks like they're just zoning off the bot lane of RMD from getting level 2, and now they have a wave pushed under their turret, but yeah, we can see both bot laners, or at least Teeny Dog for that matter, just trying to be aggressive here. But Irvine Beast might be in trouble. Flash coming in from Spooky. Irvine Beast also flashes. Dinner might be in a little bit of trouble, but Doing Pro is here as well, and he will be going in. Dinner is going to get that lethal tempo procced soon, but Doing Pro, he is losing a lot of HP. Dinner forced to flash away. Spooky is the one remaining. Doing Pro manages to get a kill. Spooky might be next, and it's gonna be a double kill for Doing Pro in a 1v2 situation.
And it's the difference between having red buff and not having red buff. That's why Doing Pro ends up winning. Wukong is never going to be that fair of a champion right now. He just feels that strong against almost anyone. But realistically, I think you have to question here the decision making from Dinner. this initial play is really good, how they get the kill. I think they, after this first blood, they can just disengage and run away. You really don't need to force the fight against Duong Pro. It's not worth it. But the main issue is this. Dinner goes kind of back in here, bites the clone, and then flashes away when the stun from Spooky is coming through. If he stays when the stun is coming through, I think they win that easily. Wait, fight and life?
He lost vision, but oh, hang on. We might not be over as Bandy taken ridiculously low. A huge stun from Spooky to disengage what was going to probably be a pretty bloody encounter. That is the most... That is like the biggest disintegrate stun, or incinerate rather, stun I think I have ever seen from an Annie.
Hit 4 people just like that, especially at minute 4. It's not typical that we see those sort of plays, but and also salvages a bit of the situation, because that could have been another 2 kills for Duong Pro, and that can lead immediately to a really bad situation for this game. Really good disengage they are able to pull through. Really interesting how it was happening, and it also means that they do get the score crop over on the bot side, but it's going to get answered by the top side score crop getting collected by Dinner.
Yeah, and I guess while we do have a little bit of downtime, I do kind of want to touch on that fight in the mid lane just a little bit more. I think it is worth noting that Dinner actually did not have his lethal tempo procced. I think if he did, that would have 100% been a kill, and he probably could have fit in 1 extra auto attack there. So a little bit unfortunate there for the Trundle, but I do think it is something worth noting, and it is kind of a shame that Dinner wasn't able to get his Keystone proc.
Exactly. I think those are the small differences that really could have made or break that fight. At the end, it breaks it and makes it so that Duong Pro gets the advantage. I think also not following or flashing away from the moment that Annie pulled off the stun also was impactful. And then also the level 3, if I'm not wrong, Annie was close to hitting level 3 that play. They have the Molten Shield. That also is a big difference to how you can approach that fight.
Yeah, and we can see Teeny Dog looking for something, manages to get the Dredge Line onto Bandy and a little bit of damage off on this Rakan, but he will just safeguard away it to Kirk Lazarus. And that's just something that is honestly so frustrating to play against when it comes to playing against Rakan, is the amount of safety a champion like him has going in for an engage with something like the quickness, something like the Grand Entrance, and then just being able to, you know, get away, just go away to his teammates. So that safety definitely being abused here by Bandy, but Spooky trading a little bit onto Irvine Beast in front of a pretty big minion wave. I will, you know, point that out as well, but might see a little bit of a bot gank. Dinner is here, does have his scanner active, sees that there's nothing here in the tri-bush.
No flash.
A flash available for Sahori, but a humongous blade collar will get them rooted up, and Sahori, he knows he's dead. He's just looking for one more kill, and Sahori is gonna die to the minions of all things. Dinner looking for one more kill. Teeny Dog doesn't have a flash, doesn't have anything up, no mana, no health, and that will be 2 kills going over to RMD.
That exhaust timing was pixel perfect. It denies the extra damage from the execute damage from the W passive from the barriers, and then also when he flashed in for the last auto, it's the last bit of damage that he needed that gets completely denied. Huge exhaust there, great play, taking advantage of the fact that the Nautilus didn't have a flash, so they are able to pull it off really easily. And the Saya gets a kill, the Trundle gets a kill, and they are able to also blow a bit of the time from the Wukong on that bot side play, because Wukong was hovering on the side, but he didn't get to do anything. They probably will get this dragon if they really want it, but apart from that, it's a really good advantage back in the favor of RMD.
Yeah, I mean, Prio on both side lanes here. Orianna, Shockwave unlocked, but it's not quite up. But a top lane solo kill is in order here as Boil the Oil actually manages to get Barris, but the turret shot will finish the Gwen off. A 1-for-1 trade for both top laners. Man, I really got to that fight late, but yeah. Good fight from both of them, being able to burn the Ghost and the Ignite. Wouldn't be surprised if both junglers look to go for a top gank on their next rotation, but Spooky looking for a little bit of a trade onto Irvine Beast. Does have the Tibbers available. Shockwave not available for Irvine Beast yet, but yeah, it looks like what you were saying. It looks like Duong Pro is just going to get this first dragon up here, and that really was, I feel, the thing that put RMD ahead in the first game, were those dragon fights, especially the 4th and 5th one, really set the nail in the coffin for WBU. So it is nice to see them sort of prioritizing those dragons early on in this game.
Exactly, can make a big difference on the fact that they are able to get it. is going to matter later on. That being said, they are playing with the fact that in the previous game we had a Cloud Drake. Now, oh wait. Okay, no.
Oh, Dinner might. Yeah, Dinner will be spotted out. Pings coming in from the Herald. Barris does have priority. Boil the Oil is roaming down as well, and we can see Bandy. He is also roaming up. This is setting up to be a potential 4v4 fight. Ultimates are available, and we can see WBU. They're respecting the damage from Spooky, respecting the AoE timbers, and backing away to the top side.
How much for level 6?
Near that lane. Yeah, neither jungler is level 6 yet, but an engage, a big shockwave into a gigantic fight, a giant cyclone coming in for Dueling Pro, doing so much damage, and that's going to be 3 kills for WBU as they win the fight and get the Herald.
Huge mistake and huge blunder by Spooky particularly. He knew, and the biggest thing is that they had vision. They knew who was on the bush. They knew who was on the side. The Nautilus just hooks forward. The most straightforward, easy to predict, and most easy to know way of engaging works out for the side of WBU. Look at that. They just positioned themselves for the Nautilus to pull this off. Like, what's Spooky doing? Really, there's no reason to do this at all. And he just gets engaged. He lays down the timbers, but it doesn't matter. That kill brings level 6 for Dueling Pro. And at that moment, teamfight is over. There's no way for them to win that fight.
Yeah, an absolutely crucial shockwave into a gigantic cyclone just seals the deal on RMD in that fight. And yeah, WBU taking control of the early game here. They managed to get themselves a Herald. They have a Dragon up. All things are pointing to WBU so far in this game. They're around 2K, or actually just a little bit over 2K gold ahead of RMD. But if last game is any indication, you can't count RMD out of these early game deficits. They've come back from worse. And it looks like Irvine Beast might be in trouble. Flash away from him as Spooky does not get the stun off with the flash, and that's a big face roll there. Spooky has to be feeling bad about that one.
Yeah, and the saddest part is that he actually just played that it was according. Like, he flashed in Q with the stun out, but props to W, fails it and takes away the stun from the Orianna. So really unlucky there.
Unfortunate.
Spooky not having the best of games so far, sadly. But you just need one big stun in a big team fight. As long as you get that, you probably are able to bring your team to victory. I think the most important part is the fact that almost every lane is winning in CS for the side of WBU. They have huge advantages in each lane in terms of CS, and there's no real answer as of now that they can look for on RMD.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, look at Boil the Oil already. He's nearly 10k gold up on his opposing laner here. It's just an absolute insanity there. But a fight has started. Teeny Dog completely caught out. The subjugate is on him. He has no resistances left. But now it might be Bandy who is in trouble. Dueling Pro smacks him across the face. But it looks like we are split here. The Blade Caller manages to root Dueling Pro. He flashes away. Sahori manages to get a double kill. Spooky misses the timbers, and that is going to be a potential ace. Spooky running for his life as the piercing arrow finds its mark, and a triple kill for Sahori. And WBU, they're destroying this game so far.
This feels like a game 3 angle, Mag. It's still too early. It's probably not yet to call it, and I hate to do this sort of stuff, but the composition that WBU has, it's getting the advantages that they need, and they are winning this fight super effectively. The initial engage is good, they have the right tools, but important, Annie moved way too late compared to the Orianna. There was never an opportunity for them to pull off this play, and then the shockwave is massive here, gets 2 pulls. Dueling Pro doesn't die here, he has the advantage in items, and it's able to get the victory. This fight can really be the game defining, maybe not game winning, but game defining, in the sense that it's just going to be so easy for WBU to run the game, at least for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, and Spooky missing the timbers there. He had a free kill onto Sahori. No sums on the Varus. A very unfortunate turn of events for Spooky in this game, just being completely, sidestepped and caught out a lot as Dinner might be in trouble. The damage from this Gwen is absolutely insane. As a Rift Maker, got that like 10 minutes into this game, and Dinner just gets absolutely chunked out. Dragon is up, and we can see the pings coming from WBU. They know they can go for it, as Teeny Dog is just gonna hook Bandy. He doesn't have anyone nearby, but neither does the Rakan. So it's just going to be a little handshake hello from both supports, as it looks like WBU are going to get that second Drake uncontested.
It's going to be free for them. Like I told you, sadly it was going to be a really open role for the Soul, and it's going to be the Cloud Soul. Wukong can find value, same for the Gwen, but it's obviously not the best of souls. It's not a Mountain Soul compared like in the previous game. Also, quickly to point out, Error is opting for AP build. Apparently, he went for the static shift and now going to go for the Nashers. Really interesting decision.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how that shakes out, given that Sahori, he is really ahead on this Varus early on in this game, has a CS advantage, has 3 kills under his belt, and just at this point, it is really tough to see just how Blue Team is going to get through this game. They're down so much gold. They did manage to come back, but the deficit was not even close to this big. And thank you, producer, for pointing this out. 5 plate gold on the bot lane, 1 in the mid lane, and 2. So that is a total of 8 plates going the way of a red team versus just the 1 on the blue team. So already just a massive gold deficit for RMD.
Exactly. The only good part is that they are now closing in on the item discrepancy. Mythic on the side of the Trundle to contest the Mythic from the Tuong Pro. Same in the top lane, Mythic for Mythic. In the mid lane, they are without Mythic, so it's not that bad. And then on the bot lane, they were close in items, but now with the Varus completing the second item, it's going to be much more Varus slanted.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, this Herald is going to be spawning here, tier 2 Herald, and so I wouldn't be surprised if WBU just goes straight for this, get mid prio, and immediately go for the Herald, but they don't even care about really solidifying mid prio. They're just going straight for this Herald as it spawns. They know they're this far ahead. They know they can make plays like this, and RMD, there's nothing they can do about it, as the second Herald is going to go the way of WBU as they continue to just steamroll this game too.
They are already so far ahead that they probably don't care right now if they just commit for the Herald and try and collect it. They get it really easily, and they probably will get this turret without having to use it and then drop it for another one.
Yeah, for sure. And we can see RMD, they're scared to even walk up. They know the damage potential of WBU. Bandy is just not able to walk up, not able to get any kind of poke. The kill threat from WBU this early on in the game is so unbelievably high. And it's really starting to get to RMD as, yeah, that mid lane turret is a crucial thing if you want to accelerate your lead.
Exactly, can make a big difference, can give you a lot of control, and if you don't get it, can make it a bit harder to try and get your vision control. I just want to quickly point it out, talking about vision control, look at the line, the red line that it's made over on the middle of the map. Now it's getting cleared a bit, but that was such a good amount of vision control to deny a lot of entrances for RMD, but also any objective contest potential.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we can see WBU, they're just sort of biding their time, waiting for RMD to potentially make a mistake that they can capitalize on, because every single fight that has happened has gone the way of WBU, and it really has kind of stemmed from RMD, overextending or taking a trade or a fight that they shouldn't, and WBU just capitalizing on things like that. So they really are just waiting, biding their time to see if RMD, sort of slip up at any point. We can see Doing Pro maybe looking for something onto Bandy, but Bandy will just dash away, and we can see the pings coming out. They might be looking for Barris here. The turret is at about half HP. They have the Herald available, but they're just going to Death Brush and see if maybe anything happens here and boil the oil. Once again, disconnecting and then reconnecting, but here it might be in trouble. Irvine Beast might be in a little bit of a pickle. Subjugate has been popped on the other side of the map. We can see the all out has been procced onto Boil the Oil. The R from Sahori will actually go wide or be dodged by Barris, but they will get a turret. They were not able to get Irvine Beast. They committed so much to trying to get onto that top side, and it's just going to be a second charge here for this Herald and potentially a second turret. Yeah, they get a tier 2 one.
With the Herald, it's so easy for them to be able to push through, and Teeny tempting and baiting for a potential play.
Oh, Doing Pro going in, gets a double knockup on the Cyclone, and Dinner is just blown up, and Bandy will join him in the afterlife. WBU relentless in this game.
The Wukong is 6-0-6. The difference between them and the Trundle is like night and day. It's pretty obvious and it's pretty clear who has the advantage. Will RMD be able to answer back?
Oh, Kirk Lazarus manages to get a Blade Caller onto him, looking to kill Irvine Beast, but Irvine Beast does manage to get himself off of there. Yeah, Kirk, I respect the attempt, because there isn't a lot else you can do. You can't contest this dragon, you can't team fight, so I guess looking for a pick really is your only option.
But after the first initial Blade Caller, I don't think you get the kill even with the ultimate. So a bit too positive there. Doesn't work out. It's just going to be the dragon getting traded here. But the gold difference is so obvious. It's more than 10k gold at this point of the game. That's way too much for just before 20 minutes. We haven't even reached the Herald, the Baron spawning. That's how much of an advantage they have.
Yeah, TDS, do you think they're gonna try and go for like an exactly like 20-minute Baron? Do you think we'll maybe see that?
Could.
Yeah,
they really can. They have the Barons, they have the Wukong, the Gwen as well. They can rush it and kill it instantly as soon as it spawns. So I can see them just opting into that.
Yeah, for sure. And we can see that Varus Sahori continuing with this little AP Varus experiment extravaganza build that he has cooked up for himself in this game, getting a needlessly large rod here. And yeah, I mean, the Baron is going to be spawning in around 20 seconds. They can 100% just do it off of spawn. I wouldn't be surprised if they do, but we can see RMD, they're just looking for any kind of way to get any kind of advantage here. You can see all of them are bot lane, maybe trying to get Irvine Beast, but he knows what's up and he just backs away from it. As we can see the pings, and WBU, they are posturing around this Baron. They're definitely going to be looking at it at like 20 minutes into this game. Irvine Beast, he is in this bot lane, but he does have the TP available. Yeah, they're going on it here, but we can see RMD, they are trying to get vision. They drop a Scrying Orb. They're looking to contest TP coming out from Irvine Beast. Yeah, Dinner looking for a potential flank angle, does have flash, but it doesn't matter. They are turning and engaging. Bandy just gets completely blown up, and Kirk Lazarus is the next target. Manages to get the ultimate off, but it doesn't matter. Dinner will follow, and Spooky and Bears are running for their lives. Spooky will fall. The all-out comes in, trying to kill Irvine Beast. Will manage to get Irvine Beast, but it doesn't matter. That's 2 dead for WBU, but they got 5, and they will get the Baron.
Yeah, they may have gotten 2 kills, but it's not going to turn out amazing for them because it's going to be Baron. It's going to be even more advantage going to WBU. And even though they get a couple of kills, it's really not going to be that impactful. You can see the replay though, how important the ultimate from Kirk Lazarus was in that play. Because he used it on the mid lane play previously onto the Orianna, find no value at all. In this fight, it came through, but it came through way too late for it to actually be useful. Look at this. They forced the engage, they know that they are coming, and Bandy actually did an amazing job here. Because yes, he gets hooked, but he gets the charm onto 2 people. If Kirk Lazarus has ulti here, yes, he may have gotten ultimated at the start as well, but you have the ulti here to deny a lot of the damage. But look at this. Gets ulti way too late, gets the knockup onto Dinner. Dinner gets killed anyway. Kirk Lazarus takes way too much damage anyway as well, and they are forced into such a novel spot for the fight. They have no issue or no ways to actually contest this, and it's just such an easy rundown teamfight victory for the side of WBU.
Yup, and we can see WBU, they are now just in the jungle of RMD, forcing them out, saying this is our jungle now, dropping vision wherever they can, and Doing Pro might have overstepped his bounds here, goes in, but he just gets blown up. A pick onto Doing Pro, and RMD, a huge shutdown for Spooky.
Hey, gold is gold. You take it how it comes, and they take a big amount of gold back into their pocket. It's not going to be for the dragon fight, and luckily, so they are not going to be able to contest it. But at least the Annie can recover now from this. Would have loved to see it on the Saya though a bit more, because it would have been much more valuable.
Oh, Irvine Beast might be in trouble. Pillar has been dropped. Flash has been expelled from Irvine Beast. A TP actually coming in from
the turret though.
Yeah, they're looking for the turret. It does have an objective bounty on it, so more gold in the pockets of RMD. But a dredge line coming in from Teeny Dong. It's a 2v5. He doesn't care, but he might care. Forced to flash away. The members of RMD are incredibly low.
Oh,
He's
no.
going back in. Irvine Beast picks up Spooky, and it's just a chase here. You can see Sahori, the pings. He's running up, looking to cut off, and on the other side, Boil the Oil. He is in that top lane, just looking to split push. The Chains of Corruption will miss, but it probably doesn't matter. All Out has been expelled from Barris, and he will manage to pick up Teeny Dong, but he will join him in the afterlife, as it looks like Boil the Oil, he managed to get an inhibitor, and he's saying, come on, fight me. He's not done yet, has the needlework available. He can easily 2v1 this if he wants to, and he is just holding the two members of RMD at bay. Throws out the needlework, manages to connect with the second charge, tries to get dinner, but the shutdown goes over to Bandy, and doing Pro and Sahori, they're the ones in the base. They manage to get a turret, looking for an inhib, but will not yet find it. Irvine Beast also looking for a turret. It's getting ridiculously low, and it will be taken down. Spooky might be looking for something, but Shockwave is expelled. Timbers is a miss, and it looks like Irvine Beast will just walk away again, and a Soul will be in order for WBU.
It should be a free one. There should be no contest at all. And Rihanna here is going to be fine. There's no chance to try and stop her here after the pillar is already down. Even though there were a couple of good picks from RMD, the reality is that WBU still has complete control of the game. They can do whatever the hell they want. This game is theirs, and it's theirs to lose. If the game is lost, it's on them 100%. But there's still at least hope. The Nexus is still up, so you can still try and fight back. But realistically, WBU is just waiting to put the last nail in the coffin.
Yeah, for sure. This really has been the WBU show through and through in this game too. They have been running the show basically the entire game, and really it just has been their game to lose. And so far, they really haven't let their foot off of the gas at any point in this game. We did have a little bit of a moment from doing Pro, you know, but we all have moments, so it is going to be fine for them, as WBU just looking to push down. They have all of the lanes, you know, base turrets gone, and really the next thing is to just get these inhibitors, push this lead. As we can see, they're in the base. Teeny Dog looking for any kind of dredge line he can throw out onto RMD, but they're respecting it a lot, staying near the line of fire for their turret, as it looks like they have triple inhibitor now. And really now the trick is to just line up the waves, make sure they crash at the same time, and overwhelm RMD into a fight which they will probably lose.
Oh, the hook goes through.
Oh, but dredge line goes wide into a shockwave, and Bandy doesn't even get to play the game, as it looks like WBU, they've got impatient. It doesn't matter anymore. Cyclone has been popped. All Out, but Barris is alone. But it will be a death from doing Pro, but it doesn't matter. Two members alive for RMD, but the base is exposed. The Nexus is gone. The game 2 has gone the way of WBU, and they're looking to tie this game up and get a third game for you.
And with a similar comp, a couple of things change. Much more impactful team fighting champions. They are able to pull it through at the end. Huge props to the turnaround from the side of WBU and Doing Pro for an amazing turnaround game. 3,000 damage on the first one this time around. Probably doing most damage from the team, I would assume. Close, but not enough.
15K. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, just look at the gold graph, man. It was literally just WBU through like the entire time. They had this game completely in a chokehold. So props to them for coming back, showing more of what they had, and I definitely think they are feeling confident for game 3.
Exactly. They will have the momentum. They will have a lot more going into them. We probably will see a change in sides, maybe from the side of RMD. It's this thing to change, and maybe they want to look for that. But one thing so far that is 100% true, in ACL, Wukong is just simply way too strong. He gets the advantages and he goes over everyone. So I'm surprised that they are allowing the champion to go through. Every time we see it on stream, he carries. I don't remember a time he hasn't carried in a game when it's on the ACL. So would be surprised to see it coming through once again.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think that that is something that Reject Modernity are probably going to look into in Game 3. They banned it in the first game, and I think they're probably telling themselves there was probably a reason we banned it in the first game. So let's stick with that again. Let's ban it for Game 3. So I think that is for sure something they're going to want to do in Game 3. But I am really curious to see if Water Buffaloes Unleashed are going to maybe stick with the comp for a third time. Maybe they really are just going to run it back, and if so, that would be really interesting, just running essentially the same exact comp 3 times in a row. But I'm not sure if that will be the case.
I wouldn't think so either. You have to change at some point the main comp. So it would be surprising if it happens a third time, but I wouldn't say it's not going to happen just because it may happen. It's Water Buffaloes.
Yeah, for sure. And while we take a break here for a little bit and wait for the teams to sort of think about what they're going to do for drafts, what they're going to do for picks, we are going to take a small, tiny little break. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon. Be right back.
There's way more to avenge. Oh, 50 million souls living in this realm without much hope. Not too long ago, this kingdom was a golden state of hope. Yeah!
Hello everybody and welcome to the third and final game of RMD versus WBU. We saw in the first game RMD run it back after a little bit of a rough early game into a win, and game 2 was just absolute domination through and through from WBU. And so we are going to fire right into the bans here with Kindred, Thresh, Cassante, and Milio, Nico, Rengar for both teams respectively. Changing a little bit of bans, Cassante will not be played in this game like he was in the others, but other than that it is going to remain relatively the same, with Varus being insta-locked here for RMD. And another thing to note, we still have the same sides. RMD is still on blue, WBU is still on red, so the sides have been completely unchanging this series.
Exactly, staying on the same sides for 3 games. I'm not against it, it's just that it's kind of weird to see it happening. Kisante getting banned on the blue side, kind of weird since it's RMD the ones that kept on picking the champion, but they wanted to steal these barriers, and let's see if it works out for them this time around. But with barriers taken and the Kisante banned away, they opened up the area that they have been banning for 3 games in a row, for 2 games, for the previous 2 games, and now this third one, they are able to finally get it. And the Ashe has been receiving a lot of buffs in the recent patches towards her AD carry position, much more so than anything else. So want to see if it's going to make an impactful return for her into the competitive meta.
Yup, and we can see that Wukong locked in for RMD, obviously denying doing pro from getting that Wukong, which was just such an absolute menace in game 2. So smart on them to do that. And they also picked up the Victor. I'm not sure. I've always been of the opinion that Victor isn't a super great champion until he gets like the right amount of items, as with most scaling mids, but I feel like Victor, obviously being immobile against a champion like Ahri, can be really dangerous if you don't play it correctly, because one charm, especially when she manages to get that mythic, can be really deadly. And we see a Volibear actually locked in here for WBU, and Volibear is a little bit of a flex pick, can be topped, can be picked jungle, but I honestly haven't seen a Volibear top in a competitive match in probably over a year, to be honest. So I would expect that to be jungle.
I luckily saw him recently, like you were pointing out. It was in the jungle position, much more so than the top lane position though. So not like we're going to get that sort of flex potential. I would love to, because I think that Bolivar is still viable in the top lane, but it's more than likely in the jungle. Point and click, CC, really effective for ganking, and I think that's what they probably will try and look for in the on WBU side, because that was much more effective in the second game than what they did in the first game of just perma farming. So I think that these aligns more to their playstyle, and they also have a lot of tools to try and lock down champions, thanks to the enchanted crystal arrow at level 6 with the Ashe, and then the charm from the Ahri, really good to lock down champions that have barely any mobility like the Varus or the Victor. And now we're just left with the supports and the top laners. Gwen, they don't want to see that at all. The Ornn, I think, is a really smart ban, because could lay down for a pretty straightforward front to back composition once again, and if they make it work, could be massive. But with that taken away now, we probably will see carry top laners or a Sion.
Yeah. Well, you literally called it. Yeah, Sion locked in here for the top laner of WBU. They are going to be giving their mid laner that counter pick potential. This is something that they did in game 2, and I think it worked out really well. Obviously, the mid lane last game was just pretty much in an absolute stomp. That Orianna had a lot of key shockwaves, and so I am, I am expecting that they would probably, run that sort of same strategy back, but it looks like it's going to be a Braum support here for RMD. They're saying, screw what we normally pick. We are going to be picking something completely different, and an Aatrox pick for RMD. R5 Aatrox, not sure if I like that against a champion like Sion, to be completely honest with you.
I will back you up on that. I don't like it either, if I'm honest. It's not that the champion is necessarily bad, But when it's against a straight up tank like the Poseidon, it's really difficult to find the maximum value out of it. You may find a couple of solo kills here and there, but I'm not sure if you're going to get full value out of the champion. And then last pick Karma to try and get even more value out of the extra range that you get with the Ashe. You have double ranged in the bot lane, a lot of good CC with the Ahri, the Ashe, and the Bolívar and the Sion, but your support is not going to be the straight up just CC machine that we have seen all through the series, right? It was not those two games. Now jumping onto the Karma, maybe they lack a bit of the straightforward initiation that they did in the previous games, but I think that the idea with the Ashe and the Karma probably can work out a bit better. And that being said, I like the Braum a bit more as well, because you have a lot of tools that are going to come into your face, so the shield value is going to be quite massive this game, and if you're able to get the stun coming through, can be quite good for your team. I really like this Braum pick.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to point out something on my end. I did a little bit of an oopsie. I thought that the mid lane, I thought it was going to be an R5 mid laner, but apparently I just completely blanked out and ignored the Ahri. And for a second, I got really confused thinking it might have been a Karma mid. And then I saw Ahri and I was like, wait, I messed up. So it looks like it is going to be, yeah, so it's going to be a Karma support. And yeah, these comps have been finalized. I like that we aren't getting the exact same comps essentially that we had in the other two games we were talking about, that we did want to see some deviation. And I definitely think that both teams have adapted these new comps pretty well. I am really curious to see how this Volibear sort of builds, because I think since the item rework, Volibear has had a lot of different options. You can go tank, you can go bruiser, you can build something like the Trinity Force, or you can maybe go for something like a Jock Shows. I've seen a few Jock Shows in solo queue. I've seen a few Trinity Forces in solo queue, but I think regardless, Volibear is definitely more of a viable champion than he was before the item rework, and he can abuse a lot of the newer items really well. So really curious to see what Dueling Pro is going to do when it pertains to Volibear's build.
I would honestly love to see the Bolívar opt into the Triforce and then build tanky, because I think that Triforce alone would give him enough value in damage, kind of like what Trundle did in the first game.
Yeah.
He went for the Sunder that game, but I would love to see the Triforce system around and then opt into maybe a Hydra, a Titanic Hydra, and then full tank. And it gives you the resistances, but also extra damage in case there's killing you need to do. And it's not like a lot of the members on the side of RMD are going to be extremely tanky, so you can get a lot of value out of that. That being said, any build can be worthwhile for the Bolívar this game. Maybe not the AP one, but the rest can be quite worthwhile. And if you're able to get on top of a priority target really quickly with the point and click CC, then everything can work out marvelously for them.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I'm really curious to see how these players sort of react to these new picks, because these are champions that we haven't really seen most of them play before, and I definitely think it is them sort of stepping out, for most of them at least, it is them stepping outside of their comfort zone, at least from the games that we've seen from all of them so far. So while we wait for the game to load in, we are going to take a small, around 5-minute break, so please stick around. We will be right back with more League of Legends. We'll see you soon.
Like a bomb drop.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Game 3 between RMD and WBU. This is a match point game and a best of 3, so whoever wins this game ends up winning the series. And after a very good back and forth in this draft, I am very excited to see which one of these teams is going to end up taking home this series win, as both teams opting to do relatively the same thing that they've been doing the whole series and just 5-point stancing around making sure that no teams can get any sort of vision down in this, any sort of, pockets or bushes that might be valuable.
And technically, whoever loses this loses their win streak. Technically, both teams are unbeaten. So if they lose, that there goes the win streak, even though it's the third week of regular season just starting. But could be a really nice bump for them, and also setting expectations looking into playoffs. Obviously, it's quite a while before we reach that point, but starting really good and trying to lay down a groundwork looking into playoffs can be a really massive thing. And I think both of these teams are trying to look forward to that. And also, just in case, if either of these teams wants to play in the NECL, this is the perfect testing ground for that.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that 100%. I think that, ACL really is a good way to test if you might be good enough for, the Challengers League. I think that is 100% accurate, as we see bot lane getting a little bit more on the trading side here. This has been just a reoccurring theme that both supports just love throwing out skill shots. In the last 2 games, we have seen a Nautilus, so a lot of dredge lines were thrown out, but Nautilus not in this game, so it is just going to be a lot of poke thrown out from Bandy and from Teeny Dog, who have just been excelling at that throughout the series.
They've been doing a really good job at that, and with their champions right now in this game, they have a lot more tools to try and just poke the living hell out of the opponent. They're doing a really good job reaching level 2 first, and with that, maybe try and get a bit of vision. Yeah, like this. Try and keep themselves aware of where the Wukong is going to be saying, and they already get a good glimpse out of him.
Yup, they have spotted out where Dinner is going to go. Junglers pathing opposite of each other, which is not something we have seen yet in this series. And so I am kind of curious to see what Dinner's plan is here, at least when it comes to ganking top lane, because Boil the Oil and Barris, at least in the early game, have been relatively left alone throughout this series. And so I think Dinner going up for a gank might be a little bit unexpected, but obviously was seen on Vision. So Boil the Oil probably prepared for it.
Well, the top lane, you know what they say about that place. It's an island. You have to leave them be and see what happens up there. Beer is doing a really good job at trading already as well. And just quickly want to point out, the DRX skin looks amazing, by the way.
Yep.
It really has great particles.
Yeah, I mean, all the DRX skins are honestly so much fun to look at. They literally get better and better every year, and you think, how are they possibly going to be able to top the particle effects that they enabled last year? And just somehow it is always topped. So yeah, that skin looks absolutely beautiful. I'm a little bit sad we couldn't see the Kindred, but oh well. Teeny Dong taking a little bit of a trade here, but Ignite popped onto Kirk Lazarus along with a cleanse proc from this Varus. Bot lane continuing to trade with each other. Doing Pro is here in this bot lane, has taken the crab. We can see he is going to go through that Tribush, potentially look for a dive. He is full HP. Bandy is going to be in trouble. Q flash from Doing Pro, but Bandy is going to be able to jump out of the way of the storm. But Teeny Dong has arrived. Flash over into Q, but Bandy doesn't care. He flashes onto Teeny Dong, and a first blood going over to the oh my gosh, the Braum, and it might be a double kill. It's going to be a double kill for Doing Pro, as Dinner might be in trouble. Sahori laying down cover fire with that Q, but will not be able to find him. 2 kills going over to Doing Pro, a 2-for-1. WBU coming out on top.
Doing Pro is out for blood after the first game of the series. 2 games in a row where he gets 2 kills. This time around, it's first blood going for RMD once again, but the answer back, the decision making to answer back from WBU, really great. 2 kills for this Volibird, great way to start the game, and the bot lane is still pulling out a lot of pressure. Yes, they may have gotten
chain connection, charm landed, flash from Irvine Beast, but will not be able to find the kill. Spooky has a flash of his own. Good roam there from Teeny Dong to apply pressure
pressure onto the mid lane. Spooky forced to recall there. Dinner will also be seen by Teeny Dong. Incredibly low HP for Dinner. He isn't really going to be able to get off a gank, I would assume. So he really is just locked into clearing his camps.
It's going to be just watching as the Karma tries to put pressure. Not getting the cancel on the back is really unlucky for them, but it doesn't really matter. They still get the flash out of the picture, and it's something you brought up during the pick and ban, right? The fact that Victor is such an immobile champion. Without flash now, as soon as level 6, well, now that level 6 is obtained by the Aerie, you just go in with the Bolivar, get the charm on top of the picture, and then it's a point and click CC from the Bolivar. Should be a pretty easy kill. They are able to pull off that play. So can set up really effectively for WBU, and every other part of the map is working so well for them this time around as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, those 2 kills going over to Doing Pro, that has to feel nice for this Volibear. As you can see, he has built the Sheen, so we might be right here, TDS. He might be going in for that Trinity Force, or rather, he more likely is probably going to go in for that Trinity Force. So that is definitely something you need to be respectful of for if you are RMD, is that damage coming out from Volibear.
I didn't know you can actually prompt it on the same time, the Qs in the top lane, to stun each other out. But they should be fine, yeah.
Yeah, Doing Pro
flash here though.
Yeah. Doing Pro just gonna land down a little bit of lightning here, but he has maybe a flank angle here on mid. Spooky does not have the flash available, but Doing Pro does not yet have that ultimate up either. But yeah, Spirit Rush is available here for Irvine Beast, so might be a little bit of a kill angle here. And Spooky is going to get engaged on. Spirit Rush has been procced. He has been stunned. Spooky has nowhere to run, and Doing Pro will get his 3rd kill. Absolutely, yeah, as you said, just an easy pickup kill, as Spooky with no flash has nowhere to run, no safety net whatsoever, and really is starting to show the weakness of Victor.
It's so difficult when you pull out this sort of immobile mages. And even, for example, something similar happened with the Annie in the previous game. Yes, Annie has a point and click CC, but she's just as immobile in a lot of situations as other mages in the mid lane. So if you're able to get on top of her, you can kill her. Same thing here with the picture. If you have no flash, it's so easy to get on top of him and be able to deny him. And when you have 2 instances of easy to execute CC on top of the champion, it's so easy to pull off. Maybe a 3rd gank?
Yeah, for sure. We can see Doing Pro, he is here. The Unstoppable Onslaught has been procced, but it has been flashed. World Ender will be procced, but here comes a Aatrox? 3rd member of WBU, and Aatrox has nowhere to go. He is completely destroyed. Kill number 4 going over to Doing Pro, and this is a 1 fed bear.
I need someone to tell me what happened to Doing Pro between game 1 and game 2. Did he hear us talk about the damage? Because it's night and day. Doing Pro is playing amazing after that first game. He's doing so many things for the team, ganking consistently, trying to take advantage for each lane. He hasn't given up a kill to the rest of the team, which I think it's unlucky. But apart from that, 4-0 on this Bolivar. Massive value, massive damage, maybe a kill onto Dinner.
Enchanted Crystal Arrow has been procced. Dinner trying to get away. He is low HP, but here comes Irvine Beast on the flank. Does not yet have Spirit Rush available, but Cyclone has been procced. Sword taken very low, but he will manage to live as the kill goes over. But another kill of RMD's own, as Kirk Lazarus manages to get a kill. But here comes the big bad bear. He gets the blue buff. The Stormbringer has been procced. Brandy is the target. Teeny Dum running for his life. A shield has been procced. He's trying to get away. Spooky is the target, and Spooky will be taken down. A double kill going over to Doing Pro. A 6-0 Volibear, and WBU are looking ahead in this game.
I'm 100% sure that's what every jungler dreams of doing. Not only does he get multiple kills and he's able to carry the team, after this initial engage, by the way, before cutting into Doing Pro once again, Dinner gets collapse done, gets a lot of damage on top of himself, but is able to re-engage and almost gets a kill onto Sahori. It doesn't even matter though, because at the end they are able to get the kill. The red buff also passes onto the Ashe, and with the shield and the heal, she doesn't die. But because here the Aerie buys enough time, Doing Pro gets on time perfectly, flashes in to steal the blue buff here.
Smite it.
That's the most jungle thing you can.
I love it.
Flash in to smite it and then ulti to kill everyone else. Massive play there by Joan Pro and by Teeny as well. Huge value from the Karma because multiple shields that save lives in that play.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it really is just this Volibear has just got to be so scary for the side of RMD. They really have to start respecting Doing Pro and his presence, because we saw in the replay he completely crossed over mid. They had full vision of him, they just didn't react. And so really they have to start reacting to where this Volibear is, playing around where he is, as we see a lot of trading here for the top lane. Boil the Oil taking a lot of punish, but giving a lot of punish to Barris in return. And so yeah, top laners just sort of smacking each other around, but we can see Teeny Dong, he has roamed to this mid lane. Irvine Beast might be looking for a little bit of a play here, does have Spirit Rush available. Spooky also has Flash, so doesn't look like anything is going to happen though, but they can just sit in that bush and say hello to each other in the meantime.
They really are waiting to buy their time. Irvine is just waiting there. He has been planted on that bush, now gets out, but legitimately was waiting for so long to finally find value. At the end doesn't get anything, so he just goes away. But it's funny to see that sort of patience to try and get a play going. But with the gold lead, WU should be able to secure the next dragon really easily. First dragon though did go to RMD, so the soul going to take a bit longer this time around to be collected by WU. And not gonna lie, oh wait,
Blast Cone taken over, Doing Pro looking for something. Enchanted Crystal Arrow lands, but they didn't layer the CC right. Cleanse manages to just get Kirk to safety. A shutdown going over to Dinner on as Doing Pro falls. Teeny Dong now running for his life, but flash from Spooky. The Chaos Storm doesn't find it, but a flash from Bandy. He throws out the Q. He throws out the Winter's Bite, and it bites Teeny Dong into the abyss.
And getting not only the kill onto Teeny Dong, but the huge shutdown onto Doing Pro as well. If I'm not wrong, it's the Wukong that collects it, so huge value now going back into the favor of Diener. And I love the way that that play transpired for RMD, because they saw Boyle teleporting back into the top lane. And as soon as they see that play happening, they propped it up so that they can play around their teleport timing on Virus. They get maximum value out of that play, out of that teleport, get 2 kills back, are able to deny the scaling from the Volibear to come through. Ari maybe dead here.
Oh, Spirit Rush has been procced. Charm has landed. Spooky might be able to kill him, but no, he Spirit Rushes over the wall. The Q misses. Doing Pro has the Stormbringer. He does not care. He's going and manages to finish off Spooky, but now he's all by his lonesome. Teeny Dong is here to try and save him, and it might be enough, but no, the Q from Wukong is enough to get the concussive blow off, and he's just going to flash for it. Dinner is ridiculously low, but Teeny Dong, he doesn't have the damage, he doesn't have the range, and Dinner will pick himself up another kill.
They will get the turret though and the kill into Spooky, but what a couple of events that transpired in that play. I think we will have the replay to see everything in accordance, but it's really smart here from Spooky because there's a ping ward here, so you 100% know where Irvine was going to go.
Yeah.
He's able to get the charm and almost dies here with the first Q from the Victor. Spooky also almost survives, but look at this. Herald playing the big team, being a big team player. Look at that. Pushes Spooky back into spot and allows for Doing Pro to get on the perfect spot to go in. Huge Herald assist, and look at Irvine as well. Gets hit by the Q from the Braum as well.
Yeah, it definitely is. Doing Pro definitely has lost a little bit of the fire that made him so scary in the early game, but you still have to respect the damage coming in from this Volibear, and I do want to pay attention a little bit to this Volibear's build. He is actually going to be going and opting for a Zhonya's Hourglass here, second item, so a lot of engage I would expect here from the top side of WBU. And now Boil the Oil, he has taken that top turret, so his ability to roam, his ability to get on the map for these next upcoming dragons has significantly increased.
Exactly. Not going to be straight a pretty normal, simple, or easy to call out build from the Volibear, but this will enable him to at least have a lot of value in terms of how he engages to fights. Quickly to point out as well, look at that plating value, 3, 5, and 3 on the side of WBU, giving a huge amount of gold advantage thanks to those plates over on the side. They will get this remaining herald as well, and will probably give up the turret on the bot side, but I think it's a fair enough trade to try and pull off.
Yeah, for sure. And Dinner and Sahori are going to spot each other here. Doing Pro will be spotted out by Barris, but he is going after him. He charges up the Q, but it will be canceled by the many knockups of the Q from Aatrox, as it looks like a Herald will be going the way of WBU. Now, it really is going to be interesting how they're going to use it, because the bot lane turret, the bot lane tier 1, is very low. You can see on the mini-map that it has that gigantic black hole in the middle of it, so it is very, very low. So I probably would expect WBU to use it on a tier 2 turret, but the real question is when and where, because a lot of big team fights should be starting to break out any second now, and it really just is up to which team is going to start that.
And which team wants it more, right? Like with Soul Point, who wants to give up that sort of thing more, and who wants to get it more? I also think that coming at this point in the game, probably one of the strongest points to have for WBU, because they will have the Bolivar with 2 items, Sion slowly but surely getting towards the tank value, and then the Ashe with 1 item and with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow can find quite a lot of value this game. I think the later it goes, the easier it becomes for RMD, because they will have late game Victor, late game Barris, and also the value from the Braum shield will keep on scaling as well. But as of now, I think WBU has a lot of opportunities to try and get team fights going in their favor.
Yup, for sure. And we can see both top laners are just sticking around themselves in the top lane, but a lot of attention is on this bot lane here. You can see a lot of WBU members just looking for any kind of vision that they can plant down. Doing Pro taking away the camps of Dinner. Teeny Dong will throw out a Q toward Dinner, as well as he is clearing a control ward. But yeah, they're really just trying to make sure that this jungle goes the way of them. But yeah, Dinner is just clearing all of these control wards, making sure the vision isn't as solidified as it was for WBU. And yeah, both teams just biding their time, waiting for something to happen. And yeah, some vision will be dropped from Sahori, but yeah, both teams just sort of chilling.
It feels like this has been the quietest point of every game we've had so far.
Yep.
Not a lot of action, not a lot of kills happening, both teams respecting the living hell out of each other, just waiting maybe for the dragon to spawn or for item timings to be obtained, but nobody really actively looking for fights.
Yeah, and then there's just one like big team fight that just breaks the game completely open. We have like 5 team fights back to 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 back. Yeah, it's literally LCK, and then they turn into LPL after like 20 minutes.
Isn't that beautiful? You get the best of both worlds. Good macro sometimes, and then great fight sometimes.
Sometimes. Yeah, for sure. And we can see
we cannot let them get that to their heads, just saying.
Yup, and we can see Doing Pro, he is looking for a potential engage onto Dinner, but will not be able to find anything, as this dragon is around 45 seconds away from spawning. And so WBU, they have a pretty sizable gold lead, actually. I haven't actually checked the gold difference really that much in this game, but they have around a 6k gold lead here in this game, as Herald will be dropped onto that tier 2. Boil the Oil will be spotted out on that ward, and a lot of members of RMD have grouped up towards this mid lane. Yeah, for sure.
Push. That is such a good play by them.
Is it going to? Come on.
Yeah.
Yup, it is. Yup. All right. So I bet WBU feel real good after that one, but pings are coming through. They're looking to get this dragon. This would be absolutely huge for WBU if they're able to get it, because this really just does, it really stops the sort of, you know, soul point threat in its tracks, and really does give WBU a way to get some scaling in. And Enchanted Crystal Arrow dropped directly onto Dinner, but he manages to get away. All of the ultimates are being popped. A gigantic Stormbringer into his zone as Irvine Beast manages to get Barris, but it's a bloodbath through and through. Irvine Beast is in the backline looking for Spooky, but the rest of RMD, they're running for their lives. They're ridiculously low. Teeny Dong, he does have the tether, but it will be broken as Bandy manages to flash away. Both junglers are down. The dragon is up. RMD, they limp away, but they manage to find a kill of their own.
What a fight. And just like we were talking about, one small fight to break everything apart, to force everything to go one way or the other. But WBU played that out as well as they could, and the huge protagonist on that play, the Sanjas, really good to buy enough time so that the Bolívar doesn't insta die. Here we see after the play starts where Diener doesn't get immediately engaged on, he gets Enchanted Crystal Arrow but doesn't die immediately. Chuang Pro tries to run away, re-engages, but he takes way too much damage. Like when he re-engages, he's actually close to half health. Sonjas at the perfect timing, and then Irvin does a really good job here to put out as much damage out as possible. But the true protagonist of this fight, the Sonjas, to buy as much time as possible for it to work out for them.
Yeah, for sure. That Zhonya's was really clutch. They thought they had Dueling Pro, but that Zhonya's really just bought them a couple of seconds to do whatever they wanted. And in a game like League of Legends, seconds really is the name of the game. So WBU going to come out on top of that fight and manage to get themselves their first dragon of the game. So a bit of scaling, a bit of a scaling opportunity coming in from them. RMD do not have that soul point, so a lot of their, win con is halted at least for the next 4 minutes.
Exactly, going to take a bit more time for them to maybe find the right footing to try and play the game out. And with Baron spawning, with the fact that you do have good single target damage on WBU, maybe they see the opportunity to try and rush it. Quickly to say as well, I think Reason raided us, so thanks for the raid, Reason. And
Hi,
we're
Reason.
joined at the third game. Close to the final part of the third game, but both teams still have opportunity to try and take it.
Yeah, for sure. And we can see a little bit of trading coming here from both top laners in the bot lane. Barris, it's like that meme in the Metal Gear Solid where you're like punching the guy who is just ridiculously tanky. Barris going to lay down some damage, but Boil the Oil is just going to walk away. And this is exactly what you were talking about, TDS. They have really good single target damage, and you can see they're going in on this Baron. But Dinner and Bandy, they are here in the bush. They're here to intercept. The unstoppable onslaught is available, but Irvine Beast might be pinched here, forced to use the Spirit Rush to get away. A TP flank coming in here from Barris as he is going to be able to chase them down, but it looks like no, he's going to join up with his team. Unstoppable onslaught is going to go down, and Doing Pro immediately bursts Kirk Lazarus, and it looks like WBU have the fight, but it might not be the case as Dinner manages to get Irvine Beast. Another one, Sahori manages to get Spooky, and RMD, they're running for their lives. Dinner will be knocked up. He is ridiculously low. Barris and Dinner running for their lives, but in engage, he gets teeny dung, but he gets traded in return, and it looks like Barris, he won't be able to trade onto anyone, and a double kill going over to Sahori, and they have 3 members left, and they are going to look for the Baron.
To re-engage almost looked perfect for Dinner there, but at the end they have the 80 carry, which RMD didn't have at all for almost the entirety of that fight. Perfect engage, Boil the Oil with the ultimate on the backside to reach the Barris and be able to kill it, and in the replay it's going to be seen perfectly. When you get on top of the Barris like that as easily as they did, and I love that they are holding the Baron here, by the way, just a quick note. But look at this Sion ultimate. On the back, perfect coming from the side, nobody blocking it. Yes, doesn't get the knockup, but you get the huge burst of damage, and then Bolívar just follows up. Lazarus is dead, no flash, no cleanse. Well, the cleanse was used, but it wasn't even worth using there.
Nope.
And even though they find Irvin here, 2 carries already dead. You're left with Dinner getting kited and no second ultimate, and then Beerus as well getting kited. His ultimate is running down, and as soon as the ultimate from Beerus is down, it's really easy for them to be able to play that out. Dinner almost pulls off maybe a miracle play, but 3 against 4 is not easy to pull off, and they get such a good teamfight victory. The Baron, and now maybe an even higher lead in the game.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I didn't even hear on my side, at least I don't know if it's the same with you, TDS. I can't hear the in-game audio. So when I see the Scion just barreling down at like 5 billion miles per hour, I was completely taken aback because I was focusing on the rest of the map but not the Scion, and so I didn't even get the sound notification. So a really, really good flank there from Boil the Oil. That's exactly what you want to see from WBU, as yeah, they have the Baron, are just using it to their fullest now, will manage to get themselves a lot of bot pressure here, and now it really is just a matter of how hard they can squeeze RMD while they have this Baron power play available.
Irvin not going to get engaged or anything like that, just a bit of damage. They're trying to make as much use out of that as possible. They do get the mid lane turret with the push, and they also have a huge amount of control over on the bot side jungle. But quick things to point out, 2 teleport wards on the back. Varus probably will not have his on time for the dragon, but maybe for a future play if those stay up for long enough.
Yup, and we can see the dragon is spawning in around 5 seconds here. WBU have a clear path to just take it, and Doing Pro is putting down a lot of pressure. The RMD have to be really careful here under this turret, because although yes, it is a turret, it can be turned off from the Volibear ultimate, and if they aren't careful, you know, trading back with WBU, they can just get straight up dove. So have to respect the Volibear ultimate, as it looks like WBU are just going to fall back, take the dragon, and RMD, I don't know if they can contest this, but Bandy taking a little bit of damage.
Interestingly enough, they've yet to actually start it, but with the teleport here from the area, probably going to try and not only get pressure onto this turret, but go and secure the dragon as soon as possible. Still doing quite a bit of damage. Really like this.
Ouch, that lightning bolt hit like they hit like 3 of them. So yeah, look at Boil the Oil. He's just splitting in top lane. This is Sion things. This is what we know Sion to be. This is literally all we associate Sion with, and he is doing it actually very well.
The arrow?
Boil the Oil, as arrow goes out, cleanse, immediately pop out a gigantic onslaught, followed by a gigantic a cyclone, and a Zhonya's has been procced. Bears looking for a little bit more kills, but it might not matter, as he takes it down, and it looks like a shutdown going over for Dinner, as Spooky, the only member left alive from RMD, but WBU, they only have 2 members alive themselves. They know they can't go for the end. They know they can't go for more, and they're just going to fall back on that dragon. Gosh, that was the fastest fight ever.
Exactly, that was a really quick fight, but importantly, they do pick up Sahori. Could have been the difference between ending the game and not, like we're seeing right now. But they are going to collect this dragon at the end of the day. Not going to be soul point, but getting extra resistance is always great for them. And they did get 2 inhibitors as well. Or actually, they didn't get the bot side. I thought they got the bot side inhibitor as well, but no. Just getting 1 inhibitor in the mid lane and having a lot of space still on the map. Even if this is not the game-ending push, they still have so much control that it can happen in the next minutes. But we can see the replay here. The enchanted Crystal Arrow, so nice to see here. Gets the Varus, forces the cleanse instantly, and even though he runs away, the knock-up hits the Wukong, and then the damage once again. Even Varus flashes sadly into the middle of the fight without really meaning to. But the damage from the Wukong and the Big Turret finally gets to be seen, because everyone is clumped up together. They get maximum value out of their damage, and they are able to at least stop the push from happening.
Yeah, and I mean, Dinner in that fight just did so much damage with that Cyclone. You were talking about it between games 2 and 3 TDS about how, you know, crucial Wukong has been so far in ACL, and how he just feels like kind of a win champion. And I definitely see where you're coming from here. Dinner has been playing really well this game. Even though the team is on the back foot, this Wukong is still dealing so much damage here in this game, and it has to be respected just how much of a tool this Cyclone has been for RMD to remain in this game.
Exactly, for Wukong, every squishy champion is killable as soon as he gets on top of them. So it's really important to try and keep our eyes out for Dinner on every fight, and also for the flash timings. If the Ashe doesn't flash out in time, maybe she gets killed immediately, like we've seen Kirk Lazarus, and that fight could completely get turned on its head. Now we're seeing RMD being able to fight at the very least a bit better, especially because now they have more items on their side. They do more damage and they are able to pull off better fights on their end. But Boyle really is taking it to heart, just as hard as possible.
Yeah, Boyle on the other side threatening the inhibitor, as really it is just a matter of keeping track of where the members are, as the top lane turret will fall. Glacial Fissure has been procced, World Ender has been popped, and it looks like the Stormbringer is going to bring a lot of it, and it looks like Dinner might be in trouble. No, manages to flash away. Bears might be the target. Boil the Oil, he's in the middle of all of them, forced to flash away. RMD actually coming out on top in that fight, managed to find Irvine Beast. Irvine Beast, I didn't even see him die. He bursted down so quickly. I didn't see anything. And we can see WBU, the pings are coming through to potentially start a Baron, but no, they're just trying to bait it. But RMD, they're calling their bluff. They're saying, you're not going to do it. They have vision of the Baron too. The pings are coming through. RMD, they want to contest this Bears. He does have the teleport available, but no. Walking up in the middle of all of them, gets stunned, but now it's WBU. They're on the run, and it looks like the TP from Bears is going to suffice as Onslaught. As Boyle is forced to onslaught away, but RMD, how the tables have turned. They have started up the Baron. No Stormbringer available for the Volley Bear, and it looks like RMD, they're going to get the objective bounty on the Baron, but you can see on the other side, Irvine Beast, he has TP'd in the bot lane. He's looking for a little bit of pressure, but Kirk Lazarus manages to get oil, but the Undead Scion just does so much damage, and now it's WBU. They're on the chase. It's a 1v1 here in the base. It looks like Barris, he's trying to stop any kind of push, but no, it looks like the Cyclone will get him a double kill, and now it's Doing Pro all alone in a 2v1 situation, has the Frenzy pop, has a lot of sustain. He has to be very careful as it looks like Irvine is going to pick up the kill onto Dinner, and wow, what a fight.
That was a really long fight, a really weird fight, and a really interesting outcome for RMD because they get the Baron onto their side. Now they can survive a bit longer. Yes, they lost inhibitor on the bot side, but gold is gold, and I think they take it really well on them to get the shutdown on the Ashe, the Baron buff, I think the bounty from the Baron buff as well, and maybe a couple more bounties if they are able to push out of their base. But the game that was looking like WBU could close it out, now beginning to dwindle on one side.
Yeah.
Maybe RMD can find their angle. Victor close to 3 items, Paris on 3 items, Aatrox close to 3 items, Wukong on 3 items. That's a lot of value that you already are getting, that it's going to keep on getting better for RMD.
Yeah, and really, I think it's going to be a test of which team is, more ahead in terms of fighting in this upcoming Dragon fight. And it is absolutely crazy to me that RMD are still finding angles back into this game. I mean, look at the gold lead. They're 9k down, and they're still managing to get picks, make fights even, or even at times feel like they're winning fights. And so this Dragon is going to be absolutely huge. If RMD can win this fight, it's going to be crazy. Dinner manages to get the dummy away as it looks like they just have to walk through the whole jungle. WBU, because of that high single target damage, they're just going to burst down this Dragon, and it looks like RMD, they're not going to contest. So yeah, this will be soul point for WBU. From 0 Drakes to 3, WBU are now on soul point.
And now it even goes to show how important those 2 first Drakes that RMD collected are. Because we could have been seeing a Molten Soul at this point in the game, and that would be a Molten Soul for the Ashe, for the Scion, for the Bolivar, champions that you don't want to give resistances to at all. And they would be getting them for free with that Molten Soul. Well, they already are getting them, but it would be even higher with that Molten Soul. So could have been problematic, but now they at least get a bit more breathing room, a bit of time to try and turn around the game, and they are able to pull it off. Would be quite amazing for RMD.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if RMD can come back from this one, it would be absolutely insane. And honestly, part of me really does want to see that, because who doesn't like a good comeback story? Everyone likes it when a team, an underdog is, and ends up being the winners. I mean, DRX are our current world champions, and we all love to see that happen, or at least I did. So part of me really does hope that RMD are able to pull this one back. But again, WBU, they have the soul point, and so RMD might have to look for picks, just have to look for anything that can sort of generate them gold, because when this Dragon fight comes along, really it is going to be WBU's fight to lose.
It really will be. It's still on them 100%. Just that with the way that the fights have been going so far, I'm kind of getting that inkling on the back of my head that says RMD maybe will do it. And that's the scary part. Like, I'm beginning to doubt. That's the worrisome part. When you begin to doubt something happening, that's where things may get really, really scary. But WBU still have their tools. Flash for the Ashe is going to come up, I think, in a couple of seconds, 5 seconds, I would say. And when Flash is up, that is going to make Dinner's life a bit harder to try and get the kill into the Ashe. Does have the GA, and that GA is quite important to try and keep tabs on what the Wukong can do in certain fights. But if he gets picked up and that GA is blown out immediately, then it doesn't really matter.
Yep, I definitely agree with you on that one. The GA really is going to be like kind of the deciding factor. GA can be kind of comparable to something like a Zhonya's, where you don't necessarily think about it to the fullest extent, but then you realize just how long the timer is for it, and then you're like, oh my god, we're spending like 5 seconds just waiting for some guy that we can beat up, but there's like 4 other people in the area, and now we're just getting completely destroyed by their team. Because really, these team fights, as the game progresses, they're just getting shorter and shorter. Makes my job as a play-by-play caster just that much harder when fights end in like 2 seconds. But yeah, it looks like both teams just looking for any kind of fights or any kind of gold advantage they can. We can see Irving Beast, he's even going to the Gromp, and this Baron is around a minute away from spawning, and I wouldn't be surprised if WBU, this is something they've been doing basically the entire game, just go on it as it spawns, because that's kind of what they've been doing with most Baron objectives, not just in this game, but in this series. So I am curious to see if RMD are going to read it like that and going to react like that.
Exactly. It feels like a given that they probably will just not only hover there, but try and go for it as soon as they can. And with the timer being 30 seconds, they probably really want to pull it off when they get on position. Waiting for Duong Pro, waiting for Irvin to be on a better spot, and also maybe get a bit more vision. Although they do have the 3 most important spots covered, they probably don't want to go too far without having their important vision line set up. They are going to start it as soon as it spawns, it seems like, because they are hovering it really heavily.
Yeah, for sure. And we can see WBU, they're just clearing out any kind of vision they can. Charm and Q thrown out here from the Ahri, but potential Q knockup, and it looks like the fight is about to start. They're looking, the Spirit Rush has been procced here by the Ahri as he is forced to run away. Not really how you want to see your first Spirit Rush charge, go on, but regardless, that's just kind of how it's going to be. Both teams just sort of playing a war of attrition here as the Glacial Fissure has been procced. The Volley Bear is going in, is being focused down, didn't even get the chance to ult, and it looks like it might just be the RM team going to get this fight for themselves, as it looks like WBU, they're on the run. The GA has been procced from Dinner. He is in trouble. Spirit Rush has been popped again, but no, it's a shutdown going over to the Aatrox. RMD, they're not out yet. They're looking for more, and the Baron might be theirs for the taking.
It's just the Sion and the Ashe. They are waiting for the back, maybe from the Aatrox, but it's going to be really difficult to stop this from happening, it feels like.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're trying to poke them out, but that is that's just going to be a Baron for them, and a dead Sion in the meantime. He's forced to just run at them. His dead, rotting corpse will eventually decay. And we can see they're going for the Dragon. This is going to be sole point for RMD, as they are going to be looking for it. The Volley Bear is on his way, but he's just leaving the base, so he will be too late, and it's a sole point for RMD, and god damn, this game is close.
Soul and Baron, Soul Point and Baron for them. Oh, Volibear coming through. There's no teleport.
Yeah, Volibear going pro, looking for something, potentially manages to get the stun, but the cleanse has been procced. The Stormbreaker has been procced, but no, Kirk manages to get Irvine Beast, but it might not matter. TP coming in from Spooky manages to dissuade the fight from going further, and just a 1-for-1 trade. But no, Enchanted Crystal Arrow has been dropped. Stun has been popped, but he might have bitten off more than he can chew. Doing pro, you are dead, my friend, as it looks like Ashe is going to join him, and RMD, they're the ones to fight. He's forced to run away. He's gonna scream cowards as he is forced to onslaught away, and RMD are running this game now.
What is happening, Mag? It's complete and utter chaos. There's no reasoning, no explanation, but the side of RMD are pulling it back on their favor. They are finding the value that they want. They are finding the pieces or the picks that they want to be able to pull off, And even though they lost their most powerful member, Dinner, it doesn't matter. Irving gets immediately picked off as well, and the Enchanted Crystal Arrow just puts them or baits them into an awful spot on the side of WBU. They are now getting pushed into their base with Baron. They finally not only turn around the situation in terms of gold, but they are finally maybe able to open up their base.
Yeah, for sure. From a 9K deficit to what is basically closing in on a 2K deficit here. RMD, this is really the comeback game of the century. As the Enchanted Crystal Arrow has been put onto Brandy. He is taken very low, but that is one tanky Braum. As, yeah, they burned a lot to kill the support, and they didn't even kill him. RMD just playing it smart, backing away, backing out, respecting the AoE damage from VBU's comp. And VBU, they're on the chase, they're threatening, they're trying to antagonize and scare away RMD from maybe making any sort of moves. As, yeah, both teams just at each other's throats in this game. WBU trying to get a fight, but RMD just constantly living and constantly disengaging to peak perfection.
And importantly, we're at a point in the game where items really don't matter that much. Like, everyone has almost full items on both sides. So the difference in gold, the difference in items is not going to be that big. Everyone also almost hitting level 18 on both sides. So it's really, the difference is going to be how well you can play the team fights. How many summoners do you have on your side that can be game changing? And who will be able to get on top of the important carries? I wouldn't even think that Irvin, that Kirik Lazarus is going to be the main important carry on the side of RMD. I think they should put a lot more focus on the Wukong, because his life can change the game for RMD 100%.
Yup, I agree. And yeah, I mean, we have that dragon spawning soon, and I really think that's going to be the fight that sort of turns this around. Although, yes, you were saying items don't matter. I think a shield, the shield for the mountain dragon is going to matter quite a bit. And most importantly, I think that this dragon spawning is going to prompt a fight, and I really think whoever wins that fight will most likely get the dragon and a fight 1+ soul. I would imagine the team that gets those two probably wins the game, and really it has been RMD actually managing to win some of these fights, as WBU are actually not as powerful as they used to be in the early to mid game. This late game has really started to fall on the side of even. Doing Pro specifically has been looking for a lot of engages, but has been just getting completely blown up from the insane armor shred of RMD. And I mean, just look at the armor shred that they have. A Cyrilda's Grudge, a Black Cleaver, a Sunderer, a Black Cleaver. I mean, how are you supposed to become a tank at this point when the top side of RMD literally just shreds you like paper?
Let's say you don't. Instead of saying you can, I don't think you can, technically. I feel like you are going to go in, get a pick, and die. That's why the Sunjas is so critical here. You need to be able to use it, but in the last two fights, we haven't seen Duan Pro actually use the Sunjas at all. He hasn't gone into stasis at any moment, and that just makes the item essentially useless, because you're not buying it for the damage, you're not buying it for the armor, you're buying it for the effect. That's it.
Yup, basically. And yeah, I mean, we can see both teams, they have a sort of, you know, war of attrition here for this bush, but it looks like Barris might be the one to start it up, goes over the wall. But no, it's not actually going to be a commitment yet. They're just waiting for this dragon to spawn. Dragon has been started, and it looks like RMD, they're the ones to try and engage. Gigantic Cyclone Dinner is going in the backline. He's just wrecking all of them. Dinner, the GA has been popped, but it looks like RMD, this might be it. This might be the one fight, and RMD, buy for 0. They don't even need the dragon, and it's time, and they finally are looking to push on the base of WBU and turn this game, turn this series into a win.
They were on the brink of losing for so long in this game. They were on the ropes. They got hit way too many times. They were on the verge of the KO, but it didn't matter, Mac. They turn around, they buy their time, they get the important picks. Dinner with a massive Wukong, and the statement stays true. Wukong on the ACL is completely disgusting, and it works out every time. RMD with a turnaround, and they stay on the top of the league.
What an absolute crazy game from both teams. But yeah, RMD ultimately are the ones that come out ahead through small little victories that turned into even team fights that eventually turned into one team fights. It was a battle through and through, and I would say they earned their right to win this series. Had an
100%.
excellent job, and I mean, just look at the gold graph. Even when they lost, they had basically a gold lead here. You can literally see just a tiny little sliver at the end there going the way of Reject Modernity. It is just absolutely crazy how they managed to get a comeback here in this game, but a well-deserved win for the team. A well-fought battle for both teams, to be completely honest. This series was incredible to cast, incredible to watch, and I thought it was amazing.
Exactly. It went both sides. This is the kind of thing that you want to see for teams that are unbeaten. Yes, it's week 3, but both teams were unbeaten for a reason, and they played amazing in this series. Could have gone either side. It goes to show the resilience from RMD, and I'm really excited to keep on watching this team because we were hyping them up at the start. RMD were a team that kind of already upset a team that is really highly looked up in Mirage. So the fact that they are able to turn around this difficult situation for them and win this game in this fashion can go to show their mental fortitude, but also the kind of team that they are. And I'm really excited, looking forward to the rest of the split, what they are going to be able to accomplish.
Yeah, for sure. And we are actually not going to end the broadcast here just yet. Or no, we actually are. So, or no, we're not. So we are actually going to pause for a little bit. We have a quick little interview from one of the winners from Reject Modernity. We're not quite sure which player it's going to be yet. So we will see you all when that happens. Don't go anywhere. We got an interview for you.
Tell me, where do I go? Tell me, where do I take us? Your heart is starting to slow. May the water be safe. As I dive in, bloodstains washing underneath the waves.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the stream. We have a post-game interview here for you from two players, actually, from Reject Modernity, and that will be Barris and Jaggy, or better known as Kirk Lazarus, the top laner and ADC, respectively, from the winning team. So how are you guys feeling after the craziest series ever?
I'll tell you what, Mock, we're feeling like $1,000,000. We're feeling like we could conquer the world right now. And goddamn it, we did. And we're going to do it again. And we're going to keep doing it. Because we reject modernity and we win games.
Yeah, you know, even though we knew we were really far behind, I mean, we've been in that situation before. You play as a team, you just look for avenues to win. We just never stopped believing.
Yeah,
If opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. That's what I always say.
I love it. Well, so that is kind of something that I wanted to ask you guys for. At least my first question was, the game 2 was not the best of conditions. So how did you guys mentally, kind of bounce back from such a game and turn it around in game 3?
You know what, Mock, that's a good question. Our mental going into the third game was as strong as could ever be, because you can't break us. You just can't break us. That's it. Period. You can't break us. We said, okay, boys, you know what? Game 2 was a sham. We made a few mistakes. Let's correct these. Let's clean up our draft a little bit, and we'll attack these guys game 3. And that's exactly what we did.
I mean, yeah, I honestly am not too surprised. You guys actually had a hell of a series. I think game 3 was definitely the test of, just waiting it out and strong will. And I think you guys really showed that a lot. So TDS, do you have any questions?
I'm kind of interested with starting. It's the first time I've heard a top laner be this lively, considering the lane that you're playing.
You know what? That's all I can choose to be, right? I can choose to be sad, grumpy. I could choose to be whatever. I could choose to be mad about laning against Gwen 2 times in a row. But you know what?
Yeah.
What's the point of that? What does it get you? It gets you nothing. The only thing that you gain from that is just negativity and your emotions are hurt. No, you gotta have that strong mental will, and I do. That's what makes me different. I'm Diamond 1, but I just destroyed that Grandmaster guy because this is what I do. It's what we do. It's reject modernity.
I'm actually, just as a quick thing, Jackie, is Beerus the biggest voice in the team, or is there someone even bigger than him in the team?
I'd say that Barris is definitely the heart of the team. He's always in the voice comms. It is definitely tough when you play top lane. Let's all be honest. Top lane is you gotta have something loose in the head at times to play top lane. But I'd say he definitely takes it in stride, and he was one of the biggest believers as well. Always telling us, like, guys, keep your mental up. We've been here. A good team will always come back from this. So yeah, he's just as lively there as he is right now.
Mm-hmm. I also wanted to ask about how you guys kind of prepared for Water Buffaloes Unleashed. We touched on this in the pregame, but Water Buffaloes Unleashed, at least before the series you guys played against them, only had 2 games available for you guys to sort of spectate. So what was your sort of mentality going into draft for this series? Like, what did you guys think of the team so far, and what were you guys really looking to hammer home when it came to going against them?
Right. So, we don't really even have a coach or anything. We don't have an analyst. We really just don't believe in all that. I think I trust my players enough, and I trust myself to know what's best in what situation. I play top lane. Jag plays ADCs. Spooky plays mid. He knows what's best mid. He knows what's best to do AD carry. I don't know what's best to do AD carry. So I just trust my players, and we just, okay, we need to ban this. Our team comp's looking a little weak around here. We need to pick this up. That's just how we roll. We don't really need a coach. Kind of overrated, honestly.
Yeah, so basically, the mentality was just F it, we ball, and you just went with it.
It's a calculated, but
they definitely had some positions where we felt like, you take away this champion, it should make it a lot
tricks
easier.
You could say,
I didn't want to. Yeah, some of them did look like one tricks. We take that away, and it definitely made the game easier. But the other thing was on the new patch, we weren't completely sure about the bot lane meta because, you know, no more Zeri, incredibly fun to play and play against, as we all agree. Gone, Lucian Emilio not as high priority. So that was one of the big things we were looking into, like what could we get from the bot lane meta? And then the other thing was just we had a lot of faith in our jungle mid to just outperform if we got them champs that they were comfortable on. So that's just kind of what we went for.
For sure. Well,
Okay.
yeah, well, congratulations, guys, on an absolutely beautiful but scrappy series, and I definitely think you guys earned the series win, so props to you guys. It was incredibly fun to cast you, and I hope to be able to see more of you guys in the future. So, again, congratulations on the series. It was really fun to cast you. It was really fun to interview you, too, and good luck to you guys.
Thank you, Mac.
Also,
You're definitely going to see us.
current first place, by the way. Current first place.
It's going to stay that way. Thank you, Mac, for having us here. I'll leave you guys with the favorite quote of mine. You, me, nobody is going to hit as hard as life. But it ain't how hard you get hit. Wait, did I miss? Hold on. Rewind.
No, you didn't. You're good. You're good.
But it ain't how hard you get hit. Let's just pause it. We can go next. Sorry. That's funny, guys.
All right.
All right. Yeah. Have a good day, you guys.
You got us
Good
point
job.
across.
Well played on the series.
Appreciate the interview, boys.
Next up we go here.
Well, I guess that's going to conclude it here for this series. Thank you everyone so much for watching. It was an absolute blast, as I said many times, to be here to cast this series. And next week, Gordo will be taking my place. So thank you all for having me. It was incredibly fun. Thank you, TDS. Thank you, our producer, Caddy. And I hope to see you guys more later on in the summer split. So we will see you guys later. Peace out.